Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the copy? Right foot down. We had to go flat. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy oh boy. Oh, yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. It's your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Look great. Oh, ridiculous, man. Holy. You see that? Holy cow. Good job, man. 2 times, baby. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, back to the garage and the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. I'm your host this week, the Iceberg, because, well, it's on my channel. And you know the rest of these guys. But, guys, let's not dilly-dally on this. It's a big week. We are in the middle of big market season. First, we got Nashville. Now we got Chicago. And then we got Atlanta the next week. I don't know. I think we have New Hampshire after that. That pretty much ends that season pretty quickly.
Hey, that's a whole state.
Yeah. Well, okay. We got the whole state. But we are live, ready to go with the NASCAR Weekly Podcast, and we have plenty to say. But I think we should start off with some hot takes. Danny, you start us off. What you got tonight, man?
Okay, my hot take today is that the Nashville Superspeedway is here to stay. And Bristol is in danger of losing one of the Tennessee dates because I think Nashville needs to have 2 dates, whether that's 2 times at the Superspeedway, once at the Superspeedway and once at the Fairgrounds, and then 1 time in Bristol. That is what I think is coming down the pipeline at some point. A lot of the industry people loved Nashville. Everyone I talked to at some point in this weekend, at some point in any of the 3 trips, has enjoyed spending time on Broadway in downtown Nashville. They really love it down here. It's why the championship celebrations are held here. They love the party and celebration atmosphere of Nashville. And I think that Nashville definitely deserves to have 3 dates at some point. And the Karens, and I'm sorry for using that word apparently, the Karens will just have to get over it.
Oh yeah, don't get yourself canceled, Daddy. Don't say Karen. Don't get all offensive about it.
I have a family member named Karen. No one cares about that.
That's unfortunate.
All right. Well, if you see my video today, I think you know where I'm going with this. So for the NASCAR fan base, if you spent $10 on that 2022 DLC, you're an idiot. Plain and simple. I'm sorry. You want me to be blunt about it? I'm sorry. After all the stuff that has come out on this company, some of y'all are still putting money in their pockets. This is the same company that lost $36 million in 2022, a net loss of $36 million. Okay. I don't know where that money's going because it's clearly not going to a racing product. But look, if it works for you, okay, cool. If you happen to be some little kid, just begging your parents like, Mommy, Daddy, I want the game. Can you get the DLC? Okay, fine. I get it. You may not have a whole lot of options. But if you're a grown man or woman and you decided to spend $10 on that DLC with less features, missing tracks, I'm sorry. I hate to say it, but you're an idiot for doing it. I'm sorry. You're just an idiot. I'm sorry, y'all. I mean, just all the stuff that's came out, there's no more excuses. Do not put money into these crooks' pockets anymore, okay? Motorsports games, I am praying on your downfall until the day I die.
Well, Darian's going after the fans. I'm going to call a driver an idiot. Sheldon Creed's a damn fool. Get penalized this week for intentionally wrecking Sammy Smith at Nashville. $25,000 fine, 25-point penalty. He'll be fine. Big picture, I think he's 9th in points still. He's probably still going to make the playoffs. No big deal. But he wrecked himself in the process of wrecking Sammy Smith. Admitted, or I'm sure what should I say? Like it was a premeditated attack. He admitted to wanting to wreck him on the radio, even after his team told him not to. Hey, you're going to get suspended, or not suspended, but you're going to get penalized if you do that. He did it anyways. I just don't understand it. I know he's in a fine points position, but his teammate Austin Hill is outclassing him every single week. 3 wins for Austin Hill. Sheldon Creed's got still a fat old goose egg there. You can't just throw races away. It's immature, it's childish, and especially in the wake of what Chase Elliott did, what Bubba Wallace did last year. You got to be a damn fool to go out there and call your shot and intentionally wreck someone in NASCAR these days.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, the negativity tonight. I love it. I'm going to go on the more happy side of things. My hot take, and I'm not saying the quality is the same, but I'm saying I think the fan response long-term will be the same. The current era of NBC sports that we are in right now, I would say the post-slide job era, that 2018 on to today, will be remembered by fans in 20 years the way that fans like the four of us remember NASCAR on Fox. Now, I don't think that they're at that level personally, but I think that people are going to look back with nostalgia at this more than they normally do. I did see some people playing around and messing with people on Twitter about being nostalgic for the 550 package. But I do think, though, that people will look back at this and they will see the way the coverage was around it, how NBC was before 2018, 19, 20, and on. And I think that they're going to, in my opinion, view this on the same pedestal as the best of the best of NASCAR broadcasting. I don't think it's at the same level, but I think fans will think that.
Yeah, I think we're going to make this very tough for the chat because we all gave pretty cold takes today.
I
think the passion that I had counts for something.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say comparing anything to like prime NASCAR on Fox, I think still is a hot take because I think prime NASCAR on Fox is still head and shoulders above what NBC has. And I thought NBC was pretty good, but I don't think it's at GOAT status yet. I think there's going to be a lot of young fans who think this is GOAT status. I can see it in the chat. They all think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty close.
But while we have everybody voting, and by the way, to the over 300 watching, be sure to lick that like button. We'll read those super chats at the top of the hour with our first super chat stage break. Let's get into Nashville. And guys, unlike most weekends, and by the way, lick that like button at home, but unlike most weekends where we have somebody go to a race, I can't just easily scapegoat talking about it to the person at the race because all four of us were there.
Yeah, we all at the same table, too. We all had a table together.
So I guess I'll just roll in the same order we did for the hot takes. Danny, start us off. What do you think Ross Chastain proved this weekend with his win? It was definitely different than any other Cup win he had.
What did he prove? He proved us wrong because we were kind of all in agreement last week that he couldn't close, and he finally did close. They put together a strong performance, got the pole. Honestly, was looking very dominant at the start. Got held up by Noah Gragson. It was kind of funny looking back on that. Noah driving like Ryan Newman just to help get Ross out of the lead. Didn't really get much after that, to be honest, but kind of still interesting how that all went down, especially considering they've had some problems this year. But then he was able to work his way. He held it good with that. What was it, 3 to 4 laps we saw, 3 wide, straight for the lead. He didn't come out the leader there, but ultimately ended up processing it. Ran down Martin Truex Jr. at the end, ran down Denny Hamlin, got passed for the lead. Clean, passed Denny Hamlin clean. The talk, it worked. It worked for him. And, ultimately, I think it's one of those races that Denny Martin should not be upset having lost to him because he ran down and did it the right way.
Yeah, finally, Ross Chastain closes the deal. I mean, it had been forever since he won a race. Had the Coda and Talladega wins. I mean, nearly won the championship, but like you said, just hasn't been able to close the deal until now. And really, I felt like Truex was going to eventually run him down, but it just never happened. I mean, he would get within half a sec, within 5/10, 6/10, something around that area, and then it just sort of stall out.
The only guy I really thought had a chance was Harvick, and then he had his tire issue that hurt him.
Yeah.
So he was the only one me and Claudia was noticing, and that's why we went to his pit box. It's like, man, he's really closing this gap. I mean, at the time, I think Hamlin was falling off, so everyone was closing the gap, but he was really closing because he was 4 seconds back, and then all of a sudden he was 1.5 seconds back, and then he had his tire issue. That was the only person I think had a chance to beat Ross that night.
And Ross really needed this win. I mean, he was sort of in a slump there for a little bit. I mean, ever since the talk, right? The talk, as we've called it now. He was in a bit of a slump, but now he's back. He has the win. He's guaranteed into the playoffs, and now we have 11 winners in 17 races. So, it could
we really
spill
have
over.
11?
Yes, we do. Yeah, the parity is still there. So, I mean, we
can't keep using the guaranteed word too much if we're that close.
That's what I'm saying. So you know what? It's guaranteed for now, but hey, you never know. We could get, a bunch of, first time winners this year.
There's still 2 Hendrick cars that haven't won this year.
Well, what say you about this, Eric? Like, what has Ross kind of proven both to the field, and how is kind of perspective, I think, changed so far this season?
Yeah, what he proved is that he was capable of changing. It was interesting this weekend how Justin Marks and Ross to an extent, but especially Justin Marks were trying to downplay the talk. Like, Justin Marks, you were the one who went on the radio a month ago and said, yeah, we've had difficult conversations. Like, those are your words. Now, we don't know exactly what the conversations were about, but you had a conversation. And in the wake of what happened at Darlington, I think Ross Chastain probably took it as, yeah, I need to be more selective, be more careful about, when I'm aggressive, when do I push, when do I go 110%? And, maybe he was a little too lackadaisical the past few weeks, but I really think it was more Trackhouse just didn't have the speed. Trackhouse this weekend had the speed. I think they should have finished 1-2. The fact that Daniel Suarez still finished top 10 with a backup car after starting at the rear just tells you all the speed that the 2 primary Trackhouse cars had. But, at the same time, I do think Ross Chastain exemplified some new tendencies. Like, when he needed to be aggressive, that final run when Almirola and I can't remember who the other lap car was, were holding him up, he took him 3 wide middle and stuck Truex in that dirty air. That was the perfect moment to be aggressive because that locked the win up for him, in my opinion. But earlier in the race, when he didn't need to be overly aggressive, he was patient. He let the car come to him. Truex and Hamlin faded a bit on the long run. Chastain came to life. I'm not sure that Chastain of even 6 weeks ago would have had the patience to save tires, to save his equipment the way he did. So, this proves to me a few things. I think it proves to me that, maybe Chastain wasn't the problem the past few weeks as much as the cars just weren't as fast. But at the same time, it proves that Chastain did take some of the lessons that he learned after Darlington to heart and applied them very well at Nashville, and he got the win as a result.
Well, and when I made a video about him, and the person I compared him to wasn't Dale Earnhardt like everyone was getting upset with, but it reminds me of early career Kyle Busch. Every year it was always, this is a new Kyle Busch, and it was Kyle Busch 2.0, and then we had all the way to like Kyle Busch like 15.0, because every time it was a new Kyle Busch. And in hindsight, he did make those small steps, and that's what Chastain's doing now. I think it is a bit of a bigger step for him not to drive in and try to win the race from 6th on lap 78, but I think that a Chastain who doesn't push the limit until he has to, and is a much smarter driver overall, I think that is dangerous for the field, obviously. My question is, does he keep this going into the playoffs? Because that's when the pressure's on. That's in any sport. Playoffs is when you regress back to the mean. Like if you're overachieving, that will be exposed in some way when the championship's on the line. I think there's going to be times he does regress a little bit, but every driver has those moments, especially early on in their Cup career. I think it's how he responds to that over time and how far apart those moments are that I think is really going to set the tone for how Chastain, one, is viewed, but 2, how much success he has past just 2023's Chastain. But kind of moving forward from there, we talked about it for a moment. I want to bring a little bit of awareness to it again. That 3-wide battle was I know we're all gonna pair it right now. That was just so damn fun.
It was
to
cool.
watch.
It was cool. I mean, because it was, what was it, 3 straight laps? It was like that, or 2? Like it was
3
crazy.
or more. It was
It was
almost 3.5.
at least 3 or 4. Now
Yeah.
I've seen moments in the past where drivers held it too wide for like even up to like 10 laps. I feel like we saw Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott do that one year at Kansas, but I haven't seen guys just hold it 3 wide at a non-super speedway like that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like this wasn't the the old 550 package neither. Like, I mean, I felt like it was a lot easier to do that back in the day with that package. But nah, I mean, this was the 750 package, just straight up talent. Byron, Chastain, and Martin Truex Jr. And then eventually Truex was able to get the lead there, but it was spectacular.
And considering how slick the track appeared to be a day earlier with the Xfinity cars, and I know the Cup cars, they didn't really have many. They had like 2 cautions for incident, and I think one was a loose wheel and the other was on a restart. Yeah. So, the cars certainly were planted more so on Sunday than Saturday, but you see everything that happened on Saturday, how easy it was to wipe out when you were 2 wide, let alone 3 wide. So in some ways it speaks to, man, how much mechanical grip the Cup cars make nowadays, but also the talent, the talent disparity from Xfinity to Cup is immeasurable.
Well, because Eric, you and me were at my place watching the Xfinity race, and we just started laughing at one point.
Yeah, you can now. It was a lot of this. There was a lot of
yeah, especially at the start. We'll get into that.
I hope our Spotify listeners appreciated that.
They'll appreciate this. I heard you say that, and then you're like, by the way, I just tweeted that I audibly groaned.
Yeah, I had to let the world know that I went after one of the crash. It might have been the Sheldon Creed crash. That damn fool.
I can verify he audibly groaned. Now looking kind of past that too, there are 2 incidents in this race. One that is unnecessary, and another one that's unnecessary, but also just kind of how the hell does that happen after the race? We'll get to the after the race part in a bit. Let's talk about that Ryan Blaney crash. I think we all were sitting with each other when that happened, and I know the thing. What's up?
Well, I was about to say I was actually outside. I saw it. I saw it. Yeah.
Well, so the thing I said about it was, it has been 22 years since the death of Dale Earnhardt started people in NASCAR making this push for safety and for safer barriers everywhere. How in the hell in 2023 are there not safer barriers everywhere? We have seen it proven with just about half the crashes Jeff Gordon had at the last 15 years of his career. We've seen it proven over and over again. Cars will find the stupidest places to hit walls. And that Blaney hit, while not at full speed, still looked pretty vicious. He looked shaken up. But I guess, Darian, you were out there. You saw the car close up, which, by the way, I want to clarify really quick before you say anything. I saw people tweeting that the one of the bars inside the car was bent. That's not true. That's how the cage was designed.
We looked up the picture of the way it's supposed to be, and that was exactly how it was.
Yeah, but Darren, kind of lead us off with the reaction that I think you and a lot of other people had to this incident.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like, it just looked like a typical restart, and then all of a sudden everyone gets stacked up. Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney are, spinning to the inside. Busch was able to save it, but then, Blaney was trying his best to save it there, trying to get it straightened up, but unfortunately couldn't in time, and then whack into a non-safer barrier. And as he was going to the wall, I just immediately thought, I was like, oh yeah, because like I've been to the track enough times to know that that certain part of the track does not have a single safer barrier, and and now that he's hit it and stuff, it's like, once again, it just begs the question, like, why is there not safer barriers on every part of the track? I'm pretty sure they'll get that fixed. And Blaney's reaction too was interesting as well. He said he'd pay for the effing thing himself.
It wasn't just a small part of the track. I looked up on the Google Maps, and literally the entire inside wall, except for one little stretch on the back stretch, doesn't have safer barriers.
Well, they need to get that fixed immediately, and for every track they should have that.
Yeah, at the very least on that spot, and Elton Sawyer from NASCAR admitted this, that they should have had something, whether it be a tire barrier, if it's not physically possible to install a safer barrier, which I don't really understand why it wouldn't be. They at least need to have something there to cushion that blow, because I mean, exactly, it was on a restart. He wasn't going that fast, and yet that just the sudden stop, like how quickly that car just goes from one direction to bouncing off going the other direction, that change in velocity. I mean, that's where head injuries come into play. That's where things get really, really dangerous. I guess it was just a moment of, Nashville Superspeedway. We forget it's kind of from a previous era of NASCAR. It was from, the very start of that safety revolution. So it's, it's been brought back for Cup, but it's maybe still not 110% Cup Series ready. And I think that got exposed a little bit in this crash.
Yeah. And you guys pretty much put it how I would on it too. I do want to say I give Ryan Blaney props. One, for keeping his composure for the most part. Now, I haven't seen any news if he's been injured in any way. There hasn't been anything that's come out about it. Maybe we'll find out. I'm thinking that at this point, if they haven't announced anything, he should be okay to go for Chicago. But I did see online, I believe, I don't. Who was the first person to tweet it? Because I saw multiple people tweet. Somebody made a custom car.
I saw Elijah Burke tweet it.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I
so-
saw him tweet that.
I didn't.
He didn't
know
make the car. He was just
Yes.
tweeting about
Yeah.
somebody else who made the car.
Correct. It was just they found it on eBay. That's all it was.
So I do agree with him. I think that's a little quick to make that, especially since
Yeah.
on Monday there was no, we hadn't heard if there's anything about him yet or whatnot. But I got to say, I commend Ryan Blaney. Now, I actually have the tweet ready to go that Blaney put. So Elijah put that out there. I'll admit it's actually fairly accurate of a crash car.
Yeah.
But I'll put it right here.
Can't deny that.
I'll put it right here. It's going to block all of us. But Blaney put walls sold separately.
Well, at least he can find humor in it. So I mean, I'm sure. I'm sure he's not I'm sure he's still recovering a little bit. But I mean, if he were going to be out, I'm pretty sure we'd hear something by now.
I'm trying to remember
you
when
never
the
know. You never know.
when
though.
when did Gregson news come out? Wasn't that Thursday?
Yeah, it was on a Thursday. So yeah, you never know. We got one more day. So
I'm hoping he's okay. Yeah, because that was just a brutal impact.
He seemed more with it than Gregson did, though, at least. Which
I'm not gonna. It's hard to try and analyze someone from afar.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not really good at that because I remember watching Noah Gregson's interview in the media center and going, well, I guess he's okay. He might,
Yeah, they
might
kinda
be
just-
okay.
Noah Gregson's always a little wild-eyed.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have to go back and look. I mean, the crash at Texas that ultimately hurt Bowman last year, I'm pretty sure he probably did an interview after that. I'd imagine him to go back and see if he did, but
I think he did.
so that's not enough to go off of just because he did interviews.
Yeah.
But he at least, it did seem like from what people said, he seemed more angry than dazed and confused.
Mhm.
We, obviously we were working that race. We didn't even go try to get an interview. None of us assumed he would even want to do one after that.
Yeah, but no, luckily he did. And again, just that one quote of he'll pay his effing self.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good one.
And then I guess the last little bit from the night of main incidents was something that baffled me. Now I only saw a bit of it before I had to go out post race and get some stuff done. But the Briscoe Suarez deal I don't know if I've seen anything. Has there been anything about that? Because it seemed like Briscoe was going awful fast on the high side into pit road.
Yeah. So I guess one of the front stretch guys immediately talked to Briscoe afterwards. And I guess I don't know, he was trying to get to pit lane. And then I guess Suarez, he just was surprised Suarez was there and then just hit him, I guess. So that was it. I mean, there was nothing more to it because this is going to sound harsh, but they were far away from each other on track all night. I mean, Suarez wasn't running up front like that, but he was certainly running in front of Briscoe for a lot of the race. So
I think it was just an accident. It was
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
just an
kind of
accident.
embarrassing. I felt so bad I felt bad for Suarez this weekend because, like I said earlier, he had a winning car, wrecked it in qualifying, going for the pole, starts at the rear, works his way forward, has to watch his teammate dominate and win the race. And then he's like, you know what? I'll be a good teammate. I'll go celebrate with him. Oh shit. Go crash. It was just rough weekend for Suarez.
And rough weekend for Storehouse Racing.
For a top 10. He's still got a top 10 and actually I think moved up one position in the points so that
He
he's
did.
now 16th on the grid. So I guess all things considered, not a bad weekend, but
Yep.
could have been so much more.
Yeah, and Darren, you'd kind of talked about SHR. I feel like we're just beating a dead horse talking about the same thing. I mean, SHR's been struggling all year.
I know.
The back of Harvick finally broke with the tire.
It did.
That's why
yeah.
That's why I was glad to find out that Suarez was just trying to go congratulate Ross because I was like, how the heck does Briscoe make an enemy running the back?
Yeah. What happened? Did we miss something there? But no,
SHR is already an enemy with running up front.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right though. Looking, I guess let's look really quick at the playoff bubble as it's going on the bottom of the screen. So right now, Suarez does hold a 2-point advantage over Alex Bowman. 10 points to Gibbs, 24 to the Dinger, 27 to Mr. McDowell's supremacy, and then 45 to LaJoy, 51 to Cindric, and 55 to Haley. After that, they're more in a race back. And Bubba Wallace, 15th in points, plus 30 on the cut line We have 9 races to go, guys. Of this scrum, I want to ask going into it, and I'm going to write it down because I want to go back right after Daytona and check this. I'll start with you, Darian, and then Eric, and then Danny, and then me. Who of those guys are you most comfortable with being in the playoffs this year? And who do you think is like a surefire you think would make it but will miss it kind of deal?
Okay, so right now the most comfortable guy I'm with, I mean, he's the first guy on this list, Bubba Wallace. I mean, he's only plus 30, but I mean, you take away some of those mechanical issues and stuff, some of the early season mistakes, and he'd be a lot more above the cut line for sure. But I think that consistency will continue for him in that team. He's proven he can run with Tyler Reddick. Now, as far as people below the cut line, I mean, Alex Bowman, I feel like, if we don't get a whole lot of new winners, I feel like he'll make it in. But then I'm looking at 18th through 20th. Those are 3 drivers that are very intriguing. Ty Gibbs, he's still a rookie, but he's only minus 10. And, our expectations with rookies are a lot different nowadays because we were spoiled in the early 2000s with the young guns winning a bunch of races. So now it's more, we have more mild, expectations for rookies. And Ty Gibbs being minus 10 below the cut line, that's pretty damn good. And, especially when we have, what I consider personally a wild card race coming up. And then you have the road course ringers, AJ Allmendinger and Michael McDowell. I mean, this weekend's a perfect opportunity for them to get a win, but also, I mean, they're starting to gain a little bit. I mean, AJ Allmendinger showed a lot of promise this past weekend.
Better lately.
Yeah. And then Michael McDowell, he's still doing his thing, but those are 3 guys I think we should really watch out for.
I don't think anyone on that list, and I'm sorry if I jumped in front of somebody, but I think from Bubba, who's plus 30, Suarez plus 2, all the way down, I don't think anyone on that list is safe because I think Chase Elliott's going to win a race. He's been top 5 the last couple of weeks. He's going to win. He's going to leapfrog all those guys. And, I think a guy like Bowman could win. I think the only guy who I feel confident is safe is like Chris Buescher, who's like 70 points ahead of Bubba Wallace. I don't know. At this point, I wouldn't say any of them are safe. I think everyone we just named is going to need to win a race if they want to make the playoffs.
But I'll say, if you had to choose right now, make, miss. Darian, you chose Bubba to make. Who'd you choose to miss of any of them?
Oh, to miss?
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Suarez. I'm going to go with Suarez.
So, Eric, you have to choose one to make and one to miss. Who do you got?
I think Bubba makes it because I think he's got the best shot, honestly, of all those guys of rattling off a win later this summer. So I think the rest miss it. I think Suarez, Bowman, Gibbs, Dinger, I think they all miss it at this rate. Dinger could win a road course. That was the other guy I was trying to think of. But at this point, I'm not confident.
Danny, who do you got?
So I'm not ruling out a possibility that Chris Buescher or even Brad could suddenly things go wrong and they lose it this summer. But I'm not going to say that would happen either. If I have to pick one to miss, I'm going to say Suarez might miss it because he can still be hit or miss on some of these tracks, I feel like. I don't know if Bowman will make it, but if I had to pick one just to this group, I would say maybe he's got a chance to make it in. But as Eric said, a Chase Elliott win could really get both those guys out.
So I'm looking at it right now, and the schedule ahead. Let me pull it up while I'm thinking about it right now.
So, sorry, just to go back. I mean, keep this in mind for Alex Bowman. I feel like he maybe could do better than Suarez as the summer goes on because let's not forget he was the points leader for a lot of this season at the start of the year, and then ultimately things happened the way they did.
So the way I'm looking at it is like this. We really have more wild card races, in my opinion, left than we do normal races. When you look at the races remaining, it's Chicago. If we're looking at wild card, Chicago, Atlanta, Indy, Watkins Glen, Daytona. The road courses are nuts. Super speedways are crazy, and a street race, that's something that's never been done before. I mean, Loudon is a normal one. I'd say Pocono's pretty normal. Richmond and then Michigan. That 4-race stretch, I think, are like going to be the ones who solidify who makes it enough points and who doesn't. But if I'm looking at it and I got 3 road courses, and yes, this guy, and I still think he'll make it in the end, but if I had to pick somebody who I think will miss, if you're picking 3 road courses and you got to make it enough points, Bubba Wallace on road courses is not reliable.
That's
He's
true.
not.
Yeah.
And he's got
No.
and you know what?
He's done a little better these last few, but
He has, and you know he is good at super speedways.
having Tyler as his teammate definitely
Yep,
helps.
Yep, but he's good at super speedways. But at the same time, anyone can be good at super speedways and still get crashed out. If I had to pick somebody out of that group that's out that makes it, because I still think that Chase Elliott's gonna score that win. But I don't trust LaJoie to make up the points. I don't trust Cindric. Justin Haley, I think colleague is not there yet. Allmendinger is intriguing because he has gotten better. But I think I'm as much as I like Michael McDowell, I'm not going to pick him to make it on points over some of these guys. If I had to pick, it's between Ty Gibbs and Alex Bowman. And that 48's been a little off to me, but at the same time, Ty Gibbs is a rookie. I'm going to give the edge to the 48. I think of all those ones out, he has the best shot because he's shown the speed. That team was really good. I think they're going to get their mojo back a little more over the summer. If I had to pick any of them, that's who I got. So I'm going to keep track of this, and in 9 weeks or 10 weeks, actually, because it'll be past Daytona, I'm going to bring this back up when we talk about the playoff grid.
Me being the resident Alex Bowman expert, the tracks we do have coming up, he's got wins at Pocono and Richmond, but those were with the old car and relatively kind of fluky. So
Yeah.
My only issue with Bowman right now, he was so good to start the year, obviously so consistent, was leading the points, I think, until the injury. But I was looking at pulled up his numbers. He has not finished inside the top 10 since Richmond. And I know he missed 3 or 4 races in between there, but that's 8 starts since his last top 10 finish.
And that's the thing. I'm not comfortable really with any of these guys. On that cut line, just because
that's my point. I just think Chase will win, and I think anyone from Bubba to Allmendinger, like Bubba at the 2 plate races, Allmendinger at the 3 road courses, I think one of them wins one of those. You know what I mean? So that's why I think Chase and Bubba get the last 2 spots. That's my prediction.
Well, I don't know if it'll happen for either of them, and still anything can happen. It would be a shame if Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott missed the playoffs, because since they've been with Hendrick, neither has missed the playoffs any of their times.
And speaking of Chase Elliott, he gained 20 plus points over this past weekend. So
he doesn't need to win at this rate.
Just watch out. I mean, look, he needs to have, keep having solid top 5, top 10 runs and getting those stage points. But man, watch out, man. It's not over.
And he is that linchpin, I think, when it comes to a chaotic run to the finish with this. But 64 back with 9 races left, that's 7 points a race. I'm just thinking, imagine what he could have done had he not been dumb and gotten suspended and thrown away that race. That's 2 races he threw away. He could easily be right in the middle of that, like 10, 20 points out right now, and he still could make it on points.
I mean, but you are right, though. He made it harder on himself, not because of the Colorado injury. I mean, that's obviously, but I mean because of getting suspended and throwing away those 2 races there.
Well, and
for sure,
I saw, I can't remember how it was done, but like points scored per race, he's right up there with the top guys. Like he is running as fast as he ever does. It's just it's been like a series of unfortunate events this year.
Yeah, but now he's starting to get that confidence back too. Talking to him post race and stuff, I'd asked him about because there were races. I mean, Danny asked him after the Darlington one, and it felt like it was back to that to that old "I hate it for my guys" phase of his career. He's like, it's not the team, it's me, basically, is what he was saying. But now he's starting to get that confidence back, and a confident Chase Elliott, I mean, is a championship caliber guy. So be on the lookout.
Finishing out, I do want to finish out on Nashville on this one, because I do think personally this was the best overall weekend this track has had since coming back. I thought the truck race was pretty good. I thought the Xfinity race, while chaotic, had good racing when it was not wrecking all over the place. And the Cup race we talked about with it. So Danny, you kind of brought it up in your hot take. What do you see when it comes to the future of this track? Because many have talked about it can coexist with the fairgrounds. There could be 2 races in the area. A lot of people I've seen have started to turn a more positive note on this track. What, as the person I think who's been the longest supporter of this track, do you find yourself more supported now than ever, or what do you see as the future of this track?
Yeah, I'm just looking up something here real quick to get my facts right on this. So currently, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway and Nashville Superspeedway are 35 miles apart from each other, 38-minute drive. So, one could argue, oh, why do you need the fairgrounds if there's a perfectly working track right there? Well, they're not that close. One serves more as a, more convenient to the folks that live out in Lebanon or Sumner County or something like that, and you can drive in from downtown Nashville. The other is more, okay, this is a completely different track, short track in the middle of downtown Nashville that offers more convenience to that downtown aspect that a lot of people are looking for. You put these tracks in different times of the year. Well, that's convenient for, different parts of the Nashville market and scheduling. My theory is and always has been Bristol, sorry, we can't save the spring date. It was horrible back in 2018, 2019. COVID washed everything in 2020. 2021 through this year, we've tried dirt. I talked to a guy who works for Bristol. He said he would like to personally see Bristol dirt get one more try, not on Easter, to really just try to get a full look at what it can be, kind of like it was in its very first year. But that was skewed because still a limited capacity crowd due to the pandemic. So really that one's still has a lot of factors to it, but in my opinion, it has not worked out. I would say it's time to just scrap the spring date at Bristol altogether. If we can get the fairgrounds back, I would say put the Bristol spring date in the fairgrounds. Keep this Nashville date where it is. I think it's just fine, especially as a night race. I think moving to the night race was the best call. It was pretty good in 2022 when it happened by accident. Really great this time around. And then obviously keep the Bristol night race. I think that one's going to stay, whether you keep it in the playoffs or still in the summertime, it needs to be somewhere in that range. And that would be my Tennessee trio right there. The Tennessee state flag has a tri-star. Well, we have a tri-star of track, so to speak.
What do you think, Eric?
I like that. I heard, and kind of on that note, I don't think Danny's idea is a bad idea. I love Bristol. I would really hate to see Bristol go away completely, like whether it's the dirt race or just a normal spring race. I love Bristol, but I also understand that what I love may not be what everybody else loves. And at this point, the economy of NASCAR may not support 2 Bristol dates, dirt or concrete. So I'm okay with what Danny said there, going to Bristol just once, make it the night race, still sell over 100,000 tickets, make it look beautiful on TV. And I like the idea of trying both the fairgrounds and the super speedway. Now, all 3 of these Tennessee tracks, this Tennessee trio that Danny's talking about, are all owned by SMI. And I heard on a Jordan Bianchi on the Teardown podcast kind of just threw out the suggestion, what if SMI sold like a season ticket, like season pass to the 2 Nashville races? Maybe throw the Bristol race in there. Maybe that one doesn't work because it's probably going to be packed.
But I could still see it working because for you've had Bristol for years, Bristol season tickets. Well, just do a Tennessee trio season.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's ways to market it and there's ways to potentially sell it because, if Nashville Fairgrounds gets renovated, what's the attendance going to be, like 30,000? The super speedway's at around 40,000.
With the renovations, I think it's really close to what the super speedway holds.
If it's up to 40,000, I think we can sell 40,000 tickets twice a year in Nashville. I think so. I'm a little more hesitant then, but I think if you bring the fairgrounds back, that will sell out first couple of years, no problem, no issue. If Phoenix can sell out every year, I think the fairgrounds will sell out if it's been renovated. I do worry if attendance at the super speedway will then suffer. So they'll have to find a nice place on the schedule for the super speedway because it will, even though the racing has been great the last 2 years, I just feel like convenience and facility, it's going to fall to second fiddle.
I was really worried after last year because I felt like ultimately there were some storms that kind of affected it, but the crowd, even beforehand, just looking on Ticketmaster, it felt like it had definitely dropped from the year before. This year, it spiked back up. And I think one thing, moving it off of Father's Day weekend, making that the bye week, I think that helped the Nashville date to get pretty much a full crowd there at Nashville.
Well, also the time changed as well.
Yeah,
that made a big difference.
Darian, I want to know from somebody who works at the fairgrounds what your thoughts are on it too. It's interesting how we actually have a bit of a dynamic with this with each one of us. So what from like a fairgrounds perspective would you want to see, or do you think would work in this?
I mean, yeah, I feel like if you were to put it on the Cup Series schedule, I mean, first off, a lot still needs to happen with the track renovations and stuff. There's people that are for it, and then there's people that are against it. You've seen them on social media recently and stuff, but spreading, false information, false narratives, information completely out of context, that sort of thing. So
the Karen spelled with a C.
yeah, unfortunately, they exist, but I mean, outside of that, though, it seems like most of the Nashville public is for this date. Obviously, you need to. There's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done. Obviously, from the grandstands, the scoreboards, the boards or whatever. You need safer barriers at the track, but then also too the size is it might be a deal breaker for some as well as far as renovating and stuff because not only do you have these low income housing apartments that are being built right next to it in the middle, like there's also a soccer stadium as well. So they're trying to renovate the entire complex into this modernized, sports thing or whatever. So I feel like if you are able to, renovate the entire track, let's say get, 30 to 35,000, seats in there roughly. I don't know about a points race yet per se, but I could totally see it as like an all-star race at first, and then eventually, proceed to being a points race. But I think at this point, the Nashville market has proved itself at this point. I mean, like Nashville Superspeedway, I mean, that was the best race we've had since its return in the Cup Series. But, it's not a track where, you're going to expect it, total chaos and stuff, or, like a Daytona or a Talladega. It's more of a driver's track. And I think the fans understand that. But even, with these tracks, even with, some of the spread out racing we had seen from time to time over the past weekend, I mean, it's still sold out. Fans were into it. So why wouldn't they be into the short track? Of course, we have to fix the short track package. But I do feel Nashville is worthy of 2 days.
That's why I'm a little concerned. It's like, okay, if things don't go the right direction, I said for a while, I think SMI, the reason they bought Dover in the first place was not for Dover. It was for Nashville. They wanted that opportunity to have the fairgrounds in possession in their back pocket, but have an option in case it doesn't work. And by doing this, they may have accidentally, with this new package, they may have accidentally discovered a better option if the short track package doesn't get to what we need.
Well, so I'm going to kind of step in here and maybe this is where I come in with the pessimism a little bit. But I'm still actually pretty positive about it overall. I think of the four of us, I was probably on the low end of confidence for the super speedway heading into this weekend. But, I noted it in Eric's vlog. I said it over the weekend in post-race stream, stuff like this. The track did really well to make it an experience throughout the weekend. And I didn't see it as much the first 2 years, but they had plenty of drivers out there on Sunday, and there were plenty of drivers out there the other days. The racing was good. The parking and traffic was really improved. Where I question it long term is that market value. Like what is the market going to value NASCAR at? Not, a year or two from now, not when the hype is there for the track. It's when the hype dies down. What is that kind of long-term goal with it? The fairgrounds, I believe their deal that they're trying to work out is to have it like that they're contracted, have X amount of years over the span of 30 years. And it would work really well to do every other year. And I would think for a little while, 2 dates would work. I think there'd be enough hype and excitement. I think there'd be enough good grace from NASCAR and NASCAR fans outside of watching it just at the track. I think it could work. I think, though, long-term, the better play would be to interchange them back and forth. If the fairgrounds gets that Bristol date for a while and then they have to move dates around for other markets, which is what they've been pushing for, to get into as many markets as possible, that might be a good play for it, just because, yes, they can probably sell 70, 80,000 seats for a while, but if with NASCAR the way it's at now, I don't see that being something long-term unless NASCAR is firmly ingrained in that Nashville and Nashville area culture, the way something like the Titans are now. That's where my reservation is with it. So I think short-term, yes. long-term change them back and forth. Plus, with city government and all that stuff being involved with the fairgrounds, it might take longer to make changes to the fairgrounds year over year than it would year over 2 years.
Let's not forget Nashville is consistently, when you look at the market breakdowns, consistently Nashville is usually very high in the percentage of where views are coming from.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
But the views on TV compared to those who would go out to the track, especially after the hype dies down, that's where my worry is with it long term.
That's a good point. I will say, compared to other years, I feel like I did see a lot more people camping at this one, some local campers, but a lot of people just came in from way out of town to come check out this track too. So I think there's some potential. And like I said, Nashville is a destination city. A lot of people want an excuse to travel and go to Nashville. Racing in Nashville could be that excuse for some people.
Yeah, and looking at the market sizes, whether Nashville deserves 2 dates, or if you want to switch them up, year by year. I mean, looking at the market size out of all these, like Nashville's top 30, and specifically 27th out of all the markets with a major league sports team and stuff. So I feel like the fan base is there. Whether you go with 2 races, or like Jared said, switch them up year by year. The market's there. I feel like it deserves, either 1 or 2 tracks on the Cup schedule per season.
Selfishly, could you guys imagine how I would feel in this scenario if we got 2 dates in Nashville at 2 separate tracks, Bristol, and then let's say hypothetically this new Flat Rock Motorsports Park, let's say give them an Xfinity date instead of going all the way to Oregon.
I think that's pushing it.
Yeah, they would go all out with that. Yeah, but
I just NASCAR has went too far before. I think there's ambition, and there's
every race in Tennessee all the time. We'll covered by NWP every week.
Well, we got 5 F1 tracks to choose from, but we got to move on from this. I think that there's a good conversation to be had here, including in the chat, which 51% say they want 2 tracks for the Nashville area. 19%, that's a second for the Superspeedway. Every other year, 17%. Fairgrounds is the lowest voted, 13%. But I do think, to kind of move past the Cup race, or at least talking about that side, we do have a little bit more to talk about that's been released so far this week, as well as what you guys at home think of it. So I guess, Darian, I'll jump into the ratings really quick.
Go ahead.
And those super chats will be right at the top of the hour. So this race got a 1.83 rating with 3.211 million viewers. The rating was up 1% over 2022's non-rain affected portion of the race that was run on NBC. Viewership up 10% year over year. 565,000 in the key demo, which is down 4.4% from 2022's edition of this race. But that's what those, at least at home, were watching. Darian?
And yes, now it's time for the poll, the famous Iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Well, looking at what people thought, 28% said this was a great race. 54% said it was good. So 82% of you were positive this week. 14% of you said it was average, 3% below average, and only 2% said it was bad, meaning 5% net negative. The first comment, bordering on that level of how long a comment we will read on here, but we will read this one. But from Spencer Purcell, is it positive, negative, or meme?
I'll go positive.
If it was that long, and it's fast, meme.
All right. Spencer says that start of stage 2 with the leaders going 3 wide for like 3 laps and keeping it clean, that was awesome racing right there, along with some good racing for the rest of the night. Also, NBC doing a better job after one race than Fox did the entire season, and that's saying something.
Yeah, see, it's positive. Yeah,
definitely not a meme. He just had that copied and ready to go.
And also, for those who were complaining about NBC not having a pre-race on Sunday, it wasn't their fault, by the way, just for the record.
Yeah, some people have said there could be intention to honestly start it right at around the time of the of the prayer national anthem. That we'll see on that. But no, it was only because we had to push it up early, which ended up it never even rained a drop at the speedways. That was
Well,
the funny part.
Yeah.
Didn't they only push it forward like 10 minutes though?
It was
15 minutes?
I thought it was
Like,
a little more.
It was like 17 to 20 minutes, I think.
They
That
went-
tells me NBC wasn't planning on doing a pre-race show at all to begin
But-
with.
I don't know how to feel about this. Maybe this is a conversation to have, but I feel like I would want more post race and not as much of the pre race. But
See,
Yeah.
I think why not both? Ratings are higher for pre-race than post-race. I don't like. I don't mean sound. I know the popular theory, the popular opinion this week is NBC's great. NBC's great, and yes, their broadcast way better than just about anything Fox put out this year. But the lack of pre-race is BS. Like, what the hell? Like, you got to have more pre-race than that.
How do we know if ratings are good when we haven't been getting post race?
Well, I'll say this with it. I think personally, 30 minutes of pre-race is fine. I just think the pre-race invocation should be in pre-race. I mean, most weekends, unless it's a big event, and maybe this event could be classified as a big event just because of where they're at. But I think that getting the storylines done really quick, not having to put a bunch of stupid filler in or a bunch of like fluff pieces that honestly nobody cares about. But having pre-race invocations during the pre-race show and then the start of the broadcast is the start, or the last pace lap, and they go green from there would be a lot better because there's so many. What other sporting leagues do you watch where you have 20 to 30 minutes of pre-race during the main broadcast on top of or pre-game on top of a pre-game show? I personally think pre-race shows should be their own thing, and the pre-race stuff should be in it, so that the actual racing is the broadcast, and we have a wider window.
The only thing
I'm not sure. I'm not sure we disagree. So what you're saying is like if the race, what I'm saying is if the race is scheduled to start at 6,
yes,
like the Nashville race was, and that means they're actually going to go green at about 6:15, 6:20.
Yes.
They went green at 6:05 because they moved it up 15 minutes. I'm saying at 5:30 on NBC, it should be countdown to green. And then at 6, they transition into their main broadcast. Hi, and welcome to Nashville Superspeedway. Let's go trackside for the ceremonies. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying the fact that they didn't have 30 minutes.
Ceremony should be in the pre-race. It's time wasting when it comes to getting the window in. You could have an extra 10 to 15 minutes of the window itself start at the start of the broadcast. Start within 5 minutes of the broadcast starting because we complain about races pushing the window, but then we have 15 minutes of pre-race in the race window itself. I'm sure they bake that into the window. Like they'll give it a 3 instead of a. So, right now they give it a 3.5 hour window because they know there's 20 minutes of pre-race. They'll just lower the window to 3 hours, knowing that I don't think that really matters. I mean, I think condensing pre-race to having the most important storylines, having the stuff that is all pre-race, and then say maybe the pace laps is the start of the window would be a lot easier, I think, especially for newer fans to grab onto. Because if you're somebody who watches Chicago this weekend, tune in maybe halfway through, and then you want to tune into Atlanta, and you're like, all right, race says it's starting at 7, and the race doesn't start for like 20, 30 minutes, and you're going through these fluff pieces, or you're going through like prayer or whatever. And again, if you're bringing in new fans, they probably don't care about the same stuff that normal fans do. You could easily get that crap done in the pre-race show and just kind of
put it in that window. That's fine with me. I'm just saying there should be, like, if they want to go green at 6:05, 6:10, that's fine. I'm saying they just need to have coverage before then for people who want to. It doesn't, like, if we're arguing over like should the green flag be at 7 or 6:20 or 6:05, then yeah, okay, it could be at 6:05. I have no problem with that. They just need 30 minutes of pre-race coverage. I don't care where you fit it in, but there should be 30 minutes of pre-race coverage.
That's what I'm saying. That little bit there should add into it, and it should just be a condensed 25-minute thing. I mean, the 30-minute window, you have your little fluff pieces, you have your BS picks, you have all this stuff that will not happen in the race because they're always wrong, and then you get the pre-race stuff, and the window is the race. That way, if you want to tune in, it's before that window, and you're not having to. Because how many times?
Fine.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a much better way I think that can be done of this that I hope they do.
Sure. I'm used to baseball where, it says 7, it's actually 7:10. Basketball, it says 7, it's actually 7:10. NASCAR, it says 7, it's actually 7:15. I'm like, it's just not really, I don't know why we're
It's
arguing
not
about this. I don't think it's that big a
7:15,
deal.
It's like 7:25. It's like
If it's okay, yeah, they do. In some
7:15
cases,
the
it is.
pace laps.
Sure, if they drag it out, you're right. They should move that a little closer. I agree with you there. I don't know.
I just think NASCAR.
We spent a lot of time arguing over 5 minutes of favorite time.
That was a good combo.
But we're used to dinosaur coverage. We need.
Hold on, Danny.
Can I get
Go
a
ahead.
word in?
Go ahead,
trying
Danny.
to forever now.
Go ahead, Danny.
Basically, what Jarrett is saying will not impact the at-track experience. It'll only impact what you see on TV. What I can compare this to is of college football. So you'll have 3 to 4 hour college game day on ESPN, and I still end up tuning in because it's a lazy Saturday. It's kind of cooler outside. It's getting in the fall. Turn that on. I'm enjoying that for a little while, and then by the time that they have Pat McAfee and all of them have made their picks right before they go off the air, I'm going to use my team. We're seeing the Tennessee Vols linked up. They're swinging. They're getting ready to come out of tee. By the time I flip over to the channel that the game is on, here comes the Tennessee Vols out of the tee. We're getting ready to play football right then and there. That's kind of what Jarrett is saying. Yeah. Put all that stuff together in a pre-race show, and then we just get straight to racing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. My whole thing was we had, and I know it was slightly abbreviated because of the rain out, but it was no coverage anywhere. You couldn't find coverage on USA Network, Peacock. There's nothing until they were basically on the pace laps. And I'm saying that's the problem. I don't care. If you want to start the race closer to 7 o'clock or closer to the advertised start time, I'm totally fine with that. I don't want us to just get rid of the 30 minutes of pre-race. As a kid, I loved that build up. I love hearing what Chris Myers had to say and Jeff Hammond. I don't want to just get rid of that.
That's the thing. As when we were kids, that was the thing. And y'all might hate me for saying this, but doing this could help appeal to the YouTube TikTok generation in a sense that, a YouTube video, I don't want to wait 10 minutes to hear this guy spiel on a video if I've never seen him before. I don't care about this sponsor he's got to plug in there. But if I've clicked on, I want to see the top 5 Disney rides. I don't care about his life story before. Get straight into tell me the top 5 Disney rides. People who are obsessed with TikTok and YouTube, they want to get right to it. If that could help with that.
Yeah, that's fine. So started at green flag at 7:05, 7:10, but at 6:30, I want a pre-race show. And the anthem can be over by 7. That's fine, but I want a pre-race show. That's all I'm saying. We spent 20 minutes on this.
I know. I would love. That was the thing I noticed when I went to the Viking game last year. Is like the game was advertised for noon Central. We were kicking off at noon Central.
Yeah.
Whereas NASCAR there's that window, especially during football season, that 25-minute window where somebody who's new goes, screw this, I'm turning on football.
And also, I can confirm, just one final thing to add, I can also confirm, just like on the local short track scene, like they're pretty strict with like their start times. Like if we're starting at 6, like no, the green flag's going to come out right at 6 o'clock, I just wish NASCAR were more strict as far as those time zones, like the local tracks are.
See in the chat, some of them were like, Danny, that should have been your hot take. And then some people are like, well, he's got a point.
Oh,
I see the chat's enjoying it. But getting into what the chat said, as I believe this was still the poll section.
The famous Iceberg poll.
The number one comment was from Steve884401, who said, awesome race. Happy to see a mostly clean race with comers and goers and no bull crap overtime at the end.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Just let the race happen.
DK2337 says, not the biggest Chastain fan, but it was a pretty good race. A bit boring in the middle, but not a complete snooze fest. Congrats to Ross and Trackhouse. So I'll read one more towards the top here. Top Cuber says, very sad about what happened to Harvick. He blew a tire at the worst possible time.
Yeah, he's doing all that team carrying. It came back to haunt him again, Always doing the team carry.
He had a good long run car like Chastain. Like he might have been a factor if that didn't happen.
He did.
Let's see. Ross Crash Stain put, yeah, boy. Really, really long.
It's funny. I thought he's been making fun of Ross Chastain this whole time. But apparently he's a big Ross Chastain
He's been a fan. Yeah, he's been a fan the whole time. He tricked us.
Our biggest people of critiquing are our biggest fans. I will say it's a pretty good fan base to be so introspective. Looking here, One says didn't get to watch because of the tornadoes. I did see that was something.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
See, that takes precedence. That's important.
Yeah. No, I don't want to play with that.
Oh, screw the safety on Minecraft. Watch the racing instead.
Or if you live in the Midwest, I'll just look outside and see if it's coming.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, let's see. I'm not gonna read one. I'm down to the gutter right now, and there's so many people. Man, the gutter is clogged with these long ass comments.
Remember back
Just
when it
dislike
was
them
like,
because they're too long.
remember back when it was like copy pastas of lyrics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember those days. The good old days.
Well, let's see what we got here. So Caleb here says, no way people actually enjoy that race. The only good thing about it was the fact that it's the first race of the year not on Fox. That's about it.
See, that's the problem with some of this fan base. Like, that was actually a legit good race at a track that's a driver's track. And some of y'all don't like it, man. I don't get it. So you just want to see chaos. I mean, if you just want to see chaos, that's fine. But don't say a race sucks just because there wasn't a whole lot of chaos in it.
And then this other one says just Ross Chastain. Oh, that one got disliked.
Thumb down.
Chastain, thumb down automatically.
People just thumb that down.
And then the lowest of the low, the guttery of the gutter says, or the gutterist of the gutter says from this one says, modern NASCAR sucks. Well, apparently that got very much disliked.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course it is.
But thank you guys for voting on the poll as we have just hit the hour mark.
Yeah,
We're going
yes.
to roll really quick into some of these super chats for the super chat stage, right?
Just hold on, just really quick. And that'll do it for this edition of the famous Iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now, Super Chat Stage.
All right, I got the timer ready. So Bailey says here that I think Saturday, which we'll talk about in a moment, was Riley Herbst's best race. Pit crew made a mistake. He overcame missing pit road, held second on the final restart too.
Yeah, I agree.
Then this other one here from Antar Das, thank you for the 5, says, I'm always skeptical of young drivers, partly due to when I see them. I fear the drivers today retiring. I never put undue expectations on them, and follows it up with another $5 super chat that says, when Deegan got onto the NASCAR scene, I was highly skeptical that she would meet the expectations people had for her. And so far, I've been correct. We'll talk about Deegan in a moment as well. Jimmy, thank you for being a member for 3 months, who says, hi guys, NBC Sports is better than Fox Sports.
Yes, sir.
I agree with that right now.
I agree.
He also follows it up with a $5 super chat, who said, did you hear that there's supposed to be bad weather for this weekend? Yes and no. We'll cover that at the preview. Isaac, thank you for being a member for a month. That says, say it with me now, FMSG to hell and back. Wonder who inspired that. I'm kidding. Jam_plays_games for 5 says, I like to think that the watermelon margarita I drank during the race was what gave Chastain the victory.
A little extra juice.
It sounds good. It sounds good, right?
Watermelon juice. NASCAR son 2414 says for 5, Jarrett, Eric, Danny, and Darian, I was so glad you all had a great time together at Nashville. How did it go for all of you? I think I can speak for all of us. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's good.
And then
Pretty fun.
Eric,
Definitely fun Saturday hanging out together.
yeah. And
Listening to Jonathan's dating life.
Okay, we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, he was doing plenty of talking about it.
and how I
Jonathan,
like my-
save yourself. Save yourself.
And how I like my burgers cooked.
Yeah.
And then he also says, Eric, have fun in Chicago.
I will.
And don't forget, I had
He
the
can-
voodoo pasta.
All right.
Eric, you can go get your overrated lasagna.
And that
Overrated. Whoa, where's that come from, Danny? What the fuck? What the
for that, you're being muted by the local Chicagoan.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to
Can't
this
come
thing.
after deep dish pizza
Don't
like
come
that.
after deep dish. I don't even like Chicago, and I like deep dish. All right, Hunter Nixon fishing for the 5. Anyone notice the entire one crew drinking Busch Light in Victory Lane? Maybe already a deal with Anheuser-Busch in the works?
Yeah. It's looking
That's
like
the
it.
leading theory.
Mhm.
And then Spencer, thank you for being a member for 2 years. Melon Smash,
Wow.
also 2 years. Marky Mark for 2. Howdy, gents. It's nothing. Thank you for being a member for 9 months. What are you most excited for about Chicago? I'm just excited for the craziness.
Yeah.
It's gonna be something.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Like it's weird, but I think the pictures are worth 1,000 words. I just think that the imagery of seeing full stands, people lined up alongside the track, skyscrapers looming, and NASCAR Cup Series cars tearing up through the streets. I do think the imagery is going to be incredible.
No, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun race.
And last super chat here for 10 from just a rowdy dude from South Carolina. KFB had the third most fastest laps at Nashville behind MTJ and Chastain. Also led the field with 129 green flag passes. A lot of reasons to be optimistic for 8 fans. Car worked great in every lane.
And Danny, what am I seeing in the chat? You're saying Detroit style is the best deep dish. It is good, but the best style?
It's Detroit. It sucks. Everything about Detroit sucks.
Wow, we found a city Jared hates more than Chicago.
No. I dislike Chicago more.
I ain't saying.
Chicago pizza is the best pizza. All right, shut up. Shut up. Nothing is better. Nothing is better.
I like the cheese and pepperonis on top. And
I like having a pizza that'll
crust.
give me 6 freaking heart attacks. Okay.
I do like when they bake.
You'll
the
get
cheese
that
into
many pizza.
No,
the crust.
you get that with
Jared,
Chicago pizza.
Meanwhile, I'm just gonna order my Little Caesars $5 pizza.
Oh, Jared, no.
Darian is ordering diarrhea in a pizza box.
Jared, we need a poll: Detroit style versus Chicago style.
I'm not even entertaining that stupidity.
Oh,
no, we deserve to know what the chat thinks.
No. If they're dumb enough to pick Detroit, then we don't need to know their opinion.
We ain't talking the city, just the pizzas.
No, I know we're talking pizzas. No, I'd go to neither of the cities if I could.
I mean,
fine. Chat. I'm going to Twitter. You follow me to Twitter.
Yes, siphon our viewership away to win an argument.
They can get their phone and listen to us.
And I only listen on one device. Anyway, we got another race or two to talk about really quick. We can go through the Xfinity race pretty quick as we are in a train wreck that is basically the Xfinity race in verbal showing. AJ Allmendinger getting the win. Guys, what's your main takeaway from that? I don't care who goes first. Go with it.
Well, first off, thank you, Eric. Speaking of the Xfinity series, thank you, Eric, for finally sending your scheme my way. Appreciate
finally
it.
Got them all in.
Yeah, it's cool.
Mine is back here. Thank you.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. But first off, that was a complete shit show for those first few laps. I mean, what the hell was going on there? It just felt like caution after caution after caution. And then once we finally got settled in, we got some racing, but oh my gosh, like that race should have ended way earlier if not for those cautions. But hey, you know what? Props to AJ Allmendinger. You know, I mean, like, yeah, he gets a Cup Series driver, but he gets the W on an oval. But Riley Herbst, man, hey, if that caution didn't come out before the final restart, I mean, Herbst was looking like he was gonna pass him there for a moment there, but then all of a sudden the caution comes out. And then speaking to him afterwards, you could just tell. I mean, that was his first race with his new crew chief. And remember, he had that amazing start to the year where he had that top 10 streak going, and then it and then it basically fizzled out. But now, hey, maybe he's on the upswing again. So props to him and props to Sam Mayer for getting a third place finish as well.
Danny, Eric, what you guys think?
Yeah, I thought the Xfinity race, it was kind of two different halves. They started to clean things up the second half, but I was just, to me, it looked like the best few cars. Guy like Ty Gibbs was probably the best car. Was going to probably go off and win that race until he got wrecked by Austin Hill. I was mad about that. That was my pick to win. So you're welcome, chat. You better thank Austin Hill for that.
Yeah.
But no, there was a couple big wrecks that took out the contender. So it was kind of an attrition battle early on. But once the dust settled, I mean, I don't have much else to say. It was kind of
Sheldon Creed's a fool. Remember, Sheldon Creed's a fool.
I've already dwelled on that.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick on Sheldon Creed too bad.
Hey, don't say you're gonna wreck someone on the radio, because at first it looked like an accident, but now
I thought it was an accident at first. Yeah.
But hey, Sheldon Creed was good. But hey, Sheldon, you got caught. You snitched on yourself, buddy. You can't say that on the radio. You can't. You can't.
Yourself.
Well,
yeah.
Well, he didn't get suspended though, did he?
No. Just fine and lost some points though.
Still got away with it.
And then the truck race, guys. Carson Hocevar got the win in this one, but I think the big conversation that at least I remember in my post-race stuff took off was Hailie Deegan. Now, I'm going to sound probably pretty crass with it here, but the big question that everyone kept posing to me was, is Hailie Deegan a NASCAR bust? Now,
Right now, yes.
I want to pull up some of these numbers for her because I don't want to just go off of one bad mistake. But that is, people were saying that mistake, well, it's the truck series. That's a mistake that I think doesn't matter to the series. Is pretty egregious to make, to hit the apron, hit the corner wrong, cause a crash. I want to read off her truck stats right now and what she's done. And yes, I get she's been in the back, but when you're in the back, you kind of make your own luck. You're back there with the squirrels, you get your nuts cracked. And looking at Hailie Deegan, in 59 races, she has 4 top 10s. That is a top 10 rate of 6.8%. Looking at those 59 races, she has, 13 DNFs. That is a DNF rate of 22%. Lead lap finish rate so far is at 51% in the truck series. Yes, I get it. It's not something that's going to translate easily Cup to trucks as much as Xfinity to Cup would. But a 21st place average finish, there's been little to no improvement. Is with that knowledge in mind, Eric, I'll start with you on this one. Is Hailie Deegan at the moment a NASCAR bust?
No, because once you bust, you can't come back from that. And I don't think until Deegan is basically out of the sport or is riding around in like a BK racing style ride, I don't think you can confidently say she's a bust. She's obviously underwhelmed, and you just kind of rattle off her stats. Year to year, she has not improved whatsoever. But I mean, it is the truck series. If you run back there 15th to 20th, I think you are kind of out. It is somewhat out of your control. In this case, this weekend, she made the mistake. It was a bad mistake, deserved to be called out for it. But I mean, until she's out of it, she's only 21 years old. I mean, we keep that in mind as well. Until she's like just out of the sport, I can't call her a bust. She's trending that direction right now, no doubt. But, she did make one Xfinity start last year and ran really well. Finished 13th. So
Eric, don't you remember from last week? She needs to be winning races at 8 years old. Don't you remember this?
Harrison Burton. All I know is look at Harrison Burton. He couldn't do anything in a KBM truck. Looked worthless out there. Goes to JGR and Xfinity and won 4 races in a single year. All I'm saying is maybe the right scenario, the right series, the cars, the trucks handled differently. I'm not going to call her a bust until she's out of the sport or until she's really done, because you can't bust and then seal yourself back up and be back in one piece. So I think you got to wait until you're 100%. She's not going forward anymore. She's still going forward. She went from DGR to arguably a better team in ThorSport. So in a way, she is still moving forward. She has not, taken that big step back yet.
I gotta disagree with you here, Eric. I mean, just based off the hype alone. I mean, take a look at Danica's career. I mean, she's considered one of the biggest busts too. I mean, just based off of the hype. And this is a lot different because NASCAR, they try to market these younger drivers and stuff. They try to cram them down our throats basically as, hey, these are the drivers you should be rooting for. I mean, look, this is a fact. Natalie Decker has more Truck Series top 5s than Hailie Deegan does. That's a fact. That is a fact. I know it's a Daytona fluke, Daytona fluke top 5, but still more than Deegan right now. And what kills this whole argument about, oh, it's the Truck Series. Oh, she's young. It's a lot different. Okay, I get that. And I've had conversations with Ryan Vargas about, the Truck Series and Xfinity Series, the way you drive them are extremely different. But here's what kills that argument for me nowadays. Corey Heim, Carson Hocevar, Zane Smith, and the list goes on and on and on of young drivers who are currently thriving in the truck series, whether it's part-time or full-time. And, like you just said, Deegan is still progressing team by team, was with DGR Crosley for a few years. And now she's with ThorSport, one of the best organizations in all the truck series, with a former Truck Series championship crew chief. Just based off of the hype and the results. I mean, it's just, it's a mismatch right now. And then, you have this mistake here, 3rd year in the truck series and you're doing this. Come on, man. And now I do think, based off of the funding and, the hype and stuff. And yes, while she is still 21, the reality is I think we'll see her in the Xfinity series very soon. So for some of the fan base, they're going to hold out hope that she'll eventually, find her, catch a more consistent rhythm in the Xfinity series. But right now, based off of the hype, the statistics, and the team she's driving for, she's a bust right now. All right. And there's no way around it.
Even though it seemed like there was not a lot of places to go with Toyota, looking back on it, I think one of her biggest mistakes was getting out of the Toyota program. I feel like she was developing a little bit better with them. And now we've just seen her honestly just struggle in the opportunity she's gotten so far. And even though, yeah, I'm gonna tend to lean towards, yeah, she's a bust right now. I do think just need to get her out of the truck series altogether and move her up into the Xfinity series and get a better understanding of if it is it the series or is it her?
And again,
because if she can change my mind in another series, maybe there's still hope. But at this point, I don't think that series is the right fit for her so far.
And again, it's key words right now. I mean, Eric had said earlier, he says something I don't really agree with, that, okay, if you're a bust, then, you can't come back from that. I disagree. I mean, we've seen, drivers over the years, let's say
Chastain was a bust.
Well, I wouldn't call it Chastain. I mean, he just drove for, underfunded teams. I would say more so I would say more so, for example, in the Cup Series strictly. I mean, Brian Vickers with Hendrick, didn't really work out too much there. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he didn't win a whole lot of races and stuff. You might consider that a bust. And then Daniel Suarez early in his career,
Martin
maybe.
Truex Jr. early on, Truex, other
you
than
could.
07, was not very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Suarez isn't a bad. That's a good example of someone who was on a positive trajectory. Gibbs, and even though that didn't work out, he still ends up at SHR and then Gaunt Brothers and now Trackhouse. So there is a peak and valley there. You're right. But when I hear bust, to me that's like finite. Like Greg Oden in the NBA was a bust.
Oh, but
injuries,
he got hurt a lot.
Never played, never got any. Just never went anywhere. That is a clear and obvious bust. In NASCAR, I just think you're going to call someone a bust, that means they have no future. They're past their prime. They're not going to get those opportunities again.
AJ Allmendinger, someone that's probably a good example.
Yeah, you could argue.
You could easily say Allmendinger was considered a bust.
I see where you're going with this, Eric, and stuff. Like I don't know. I just feel like in motorsports, I guess I don't know. Just to me, it's a lot different. I guess
to me, I wouldn't have called I didn't call Suarez a bust either. He was a Xfinity Series champion, and 3-4 years after that, he was with Gaunt Brothers. That's such a short period of time. He could have still rallied, bounced back. We all agreed he was rushed to Cup early because of the Carl Edwards deal. So, I think it's just your definition of bust. My definition of bust is different than yours. I've been consistent on that. You've been inconsistent on yours. So that's just fine.
I'd say if because I think I didn't give the right phrasing. I would say, because I would say so far, I think that she is a bust at the moment. I think my big problem is, and it's the same problem I've had with so many drivers, it is, and I don't think we're giving any here when we say it, but she gets so many excuses thrown her way.
She does.
That's true.
If we're going to judge her the way we judge every other driver, which I think we are right now, she is currently on the trajectory to have the worst season for a ThorSport driver since 2008 with Shelby Howard, who at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, Howard had a 19th place average finish. So she's actually probably on average finishing worse. Now, I know not everything's her fault, but like I said, you make your own luck when you're running 25th every week. She's moved to a better team, the better crew chief, and she's performed the same. To me, that's regression.
But also,
if you're going to a better team and you're doing worse than that worst team that you did, it's either something's completely wrong or you're regressing in some way. And you don't see that with other drivers.
And oddly enough, the team she just left Tricon, I feel like we could always have that comparison of there's a girl that seemingly replaced another girl that we're seeing. Deegan replaced Natalie Decker. Now Breidinger is getting in after Deegan's departed. And Breidinger hasn't ran a ton of races, but she hasn't really done that bad in my opinion so far.
Yeah, she really hasn't. And one final thing before we move on and stuff. I mean, just again, the performance is one thing, but the hype is another. Again, this is why I've said for years, NASCAR, you need to be careful marketing these younger drivers and stuff. Okay. I feel like a driver like Rajah Caruth has like handled it perfectly because again, when you have the freaking president saying like, oh, he's a surefire thing, take it to the bank. I'm like, what are you doing that for? You're not supposed to be doing that. Let it happen naturally. But I mean, so far this year, Rajah Caruth has handled it perfectly. He's almost won some races here and there. And
he has like two. I wanted to get off Deegan a little. Yeah, I want to get off Deegan a little because by contrast, Rajah has shown steady improvement.
Exactly.
Even though he's not won this week, it looked like just bad luck. He might have been in contention for the win. Like
Nick Sanchez has done good.
Yeah, Nick Sanchez he's fired off really strong this year, seemingly from the get-go. And obviously Carson Hostevar showing growth this year now with 2 wins. I also want to give a shout out to my boy Bailey Curry with the second top 5
I almost forgot. Yeah,
he had a really good run. So there are drivers in trucks that are going from being 15th to top 5. Deegan hasn't proven that yet. So, like I said, she's been underwhelming. She's trending that direction, but just my definition of bust is a more permanent definition. And I can't say she's completely done because I think she could still improve the same way in 2019, 2020. I thought Daniel Suarez could still improve a little bit. And I mean, I guess maybe he has made the playoffs once.
Hey, we'll just give it a little more time. But again, like I had said at the very start of the year, no more excuses. This is the 3rd year in the Truck Series. So how much more time do we need, But hey, only time will tell.
The thing with Deegan is, though, no matter, it's really what does she want to do, I think, because she will have funding. And at the end of the day, that's what these teams need. They need that green money coming in. Yeah. And as long as she's got a way to get it, she'll always have a chance to do whatever she wants. So really it's what does she want to do? Because that's the most important part. Now there is a limit, will no matter the money, will an owner want to see their car consistently get wrecked? But for the time being, she can race as long as she wants to, or she can take her following and go do whatever she wants to on YouTube just because she's that established of a star now.
And to end off, thank you all for spamming some ghosts in the chat for Bailey Curry.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, and Darian, we got something else that we got to kind of spam the chat really quick with. It's real quick, but I want to hear it. We've had some weird weather here.
Oh, yes, that's right. And it's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jared, what do we have on tap for tonight?
Not too much. So these 3 were all tweeted from Adam Stern. First off, there is the Bubba Wallace meal from McDonald's, a Chicago exclusive this weekend. Pretty cool deal there. NASCAR's new TV deal, though, is taking a little longer than they thought to finalize. Seems like they've moved away from the idea of fully selling the Xfinity Series to a streamer. But I think the biggest one of these so far for the long term, too, is that talks have begun for Andretti Autosport to come over to NASCAR. So I think that's going to be interesting. They talked in 2013 at the start of the Gen 6 era about coming in, ended up falling through. But maybe second time's the charm. And you know what? They'd probably be a lot more welcomed than they would in the Netflix series. And then last but not least, Eric Jones and the 43 team have lost their appeal. And
oh man,
the lightning round ended with a little whimper of thunder there.
Bro, that team cannot catch a break, man. And that'll do it for this edition of the famous lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now, back to the show.
Well, speaking of going back, let's go back in time, guys, and talk about more of our top 75 drivers list. Yes. 45 through 41. We got some oldies, but we got some current guys, too, in here. And I think one of them is going to be a real popular driver to talk about here. There's a lot of guys we grew up with that'll be talked about very soon. But first off, let's talk about a guy who is on the older side. Somebody who raced in the 50s and 60s. Somebody who has 21 wins in his 264 Cup starts, that first one being at Martinsville. I am talking about our number 45 pick for the list, Jack Smith. So looking at Smith's career and our rankings for him, we were all actually really close together, with me at 44th with him and Danny and Eric 43rd with the chat 47, Darian being the straggler at 51st. But looking a little bit more here, he raced in the first NASCAR race ever. And he also, with Bud Moore, was the first driver with his crew and crew chief and team he used two-way radio. So, guys, Jack Smith.
I mean, 21 wins and just a little over 250, 60 starts. That's pretty impressive. And the first ever Martinsville winner, that really stands out there. But that was really the only monumental race he had won, huh, Jarrett? Because I don't really see any other. But I mean, he won 21 races, though. That's so cool.
Yeah, and he's part of that original bootlegger kind of group of drivers. I mean, truly a pioneer of the sport, deserves to be on this list. Certainly somewhere in the top 50, top 60. Where'd I have him? 40 something, 43rd. I see it now. It's 43rd. Yeah, no, I think well deserved.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think where we got him is about exactly where Jack Smith needs to be. Very generic name if you think about it like that, but not a very generic racer. Definitely not easy to get 21 wins.
Yeah, definitely one of NASCAR's original heroes in its heyday, for sure. Or, well, I mean, when it first started, excuse me.
And someone whose career is definitely, I think, for the accolades that he got, didn't get any real big wins per se, but definitely kind of went in under the radar a little bit. A driver, though, I think we can move to 44th that did not go under the radar. He was somebody that was in TV screens, too, after his career, would be our 44th pick on this list, and that is Buddy Baker. Now, Buddy Baker, we're all very much in agreement, would be in the 40s on here. Everyone has him between 42nd and 43rd with our pick, but looking at his career, 19 wins spanning from 1959 to 1994. Those last 2 years, 93, 94, I believe he was only trying for the 500. I don't think he made it. If I remember right, back then they didn't have the past champions and past like Daytona winner provisional. But he won the 1980 Daytona 500. And with the inaugural Busch Clash in 1979, he was actually somebody who was someone and was the first who almost completed the sweep at Daytona between the Clash, the duels, the 500. So Buddy Baker at 44th, guys.
Yeah, that's it. I had him at just inside the top 50 at 49. I thought that was a perfect spot for him. I mean, a lot of people, I feel like a lot of the younger generation remembers him as like, oh, he used to be on NASCAR on CBS. But no, as a driver, he was a beast. A 1979 Southern 500 winner, also won the 1980 Daytona 500. He even set like the speed record for a while there in the late 70s, early 80s at Daytona. And also, he also won the Coca-Cola 600 3 times. Wow, I didn't even know that until now. So yeah, clearly deserves to be on this portion of the list for sure.
Yeah, his list of crown jewel accomplishments had him high on. I'm actually a little surprised that me and the chat tied for the highest pick, because I was even looking at my list later on and thought about how Buddy Baker should maybe be in the top 40 somewhere, be in the 30s, just because. Yeah, he made a lot. I don't know how many starts he made, but it was hundreds. He made a lot of starts. He was around a long time, only 19 wins. If we're talking about like ratios, not a great ratio, but the significant races he won. He won almost every major crown jewel there is. And Darian just mentioned it, 3 Coke 600s or World 600s. He won the big races, the big events. Buddy Baker absolutely deserving. And us tall guys have to stick together. I believe Buddy Baker is still on record as being the tallest NASCAR driver in history at 6'6". So thumbs up for that.
And don't forget about the Gray Ghost scheme. The Gray Ghost scheme, one of the most iconic schemes in all of NASCAR.
That was, I think that was Dale Jr.'s, maybe his favorite paint scheme he ever ran. He ran it, I think, he ran it a total of 2 times, once in 2008, once in 2017, was supposed to do it in 2016, but the time off prevented that.
Yeah. And also Jeff Gordon ran it too in 2016. Yeah.
But Buddy Baker, I think, a very deserving member of this list. But guys, we've talked about some of those pioneers. We talked about guys who are older. Let's move forward to somebody we all grew up watching, somebody who raced all the way into the Gen 6 era from the Gen 4 era. And I'm talking about none other than Jeff Burton, who
the mayor.
We varied mightily on ranking Jeff Burton. I had him highest at 39th. But of course, Danny, Eric, in the chat were all between 40th, 41st, and 43rd. Darian, I'm going to lead off before we even get to the accolades. Why did you have Jeff Burton 57th?
I don't know. I just, look at his career, 21 wins. I mean, yeah, top five in points for, a few years there and stuff. So, you know what? Maybe I should have had him higher on the list. I don't know. Just at the time, I was trying to sort out, okay, you got, some of these drivers with, 20 plus wins, but no championship. So where do you put them on that list, without the championships and
It,
stuff? And then
is it
go.
recency bias? Do you think that's a reason maybe?
See, I don't see. I was trying my best not to have as much recency bias with like, some of the drivers or whatever. So
Respectable.
yeah, so that's why I have him so low on the list. But hey, at least he's on the list, right? At least he's on
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
that'd have been bad if it said HM right there.
yeah.
I just look at, in terms of recency bias, I do consider like the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s to be a bit more competitive. So if you had a lot of success in those years, I weigh that pretty heavily. Maybe that's recency bias. I know drivers don't wear as many hats these days as they used to 40, 50, 60 years ago. So maybe I'm wrong in ranking them this way. But Burton, his success in the the late 90s into the 2000s, he was a rookie of the year. 21 wins, wish that number was higher. I think if that number was 25, 28, he'd probably be in the Hall of Fame conversation. But as it stands now, I don't know, he might make it in one day, might not. Kind of on that fence.
Mhm.
Hey, let's never forget Jeff Burton. He nearly got a top 10 in a technically no sponsored car at Bristol in 07 because of the spat
Yeah.
between Nextel and AT&T. He actually won that race the next year in 08. Actually, I think he got like 2 wins that year in 08. That was his last year getting wins, I think.
Yep,
Yep.
it was.
Bristol?
Yep, Charlotte. Oh wait, yeah.
I actually recently watched that Bristol race, and he came, he was up front, but he came out of nowhere, getting that win at the end. But yeah, 21.
He led 2 laps in that race.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But yeah, 21 wins, finishing top 5 in points, 97 through 2000. This is what I found amazing, is his longevity in his career. From 1997 through 2013, he finished every season 20th or better in the point standings, no matter how good or bad his team was. Qualified from in the chase in 2006 through 08 and 2010. And in 1994, he beat guys like his brother Ward. He beat Jeremy Mayfield and Joe Nemechek, who was no slouch at the time, for the Rookie of the Year. So I
Nice.
think,
Driving for Stavola Brothers.
yeah, Jeff Burton deserves a place on this list.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, before we talk about the modern era completely, let's go back again to somebody who did most of his big accomplishments in the 60s, raced from the 40s to the 70s, and had some pretty impressive short track stats. But let's move forward to our 42nd pick, Jim Paschal or Paschal. Now, we do have an HM on this one.
Yeah.
I'm curious on that one, though. We did have it from 37th all the way to 50th, so it was a lot of variation.
I went back and looked, and I found my written list, and I had him at 44. But on my typed out list that I pulled up here, the PDF I have on my doc, I left him out somehow on accident. So the one I submitted to you did not have him on the list. I don't know how I messed that up. But yeah, obviously he's a top 50 driver, 25 wins. He's won the World 600, I think, a couple of times. So that's my bad. I think he's the winningest driver. What is it? Is he the winningest driver without a championship to not be in the Hall of Fame? No, it's Carl Edwards now owns that record.
Yeah, but Carl, I believe, how does it go? He's the winningest driver to not win a championship that is eligible from like pre-modern era for the Hall of Fame.
Something like that. Yeah. He's like as borderline Hall of Famer as it gets. And so obviously he should be in the top like 50 or so. I don't know why when I was typing it up, I didn't do it. I must have been sleep deprived. That's on me. I hope it didn't skew the data too badly. I left Biffle off. Biffle I just left off. Biffle wasn't even on my written list. I just totally effed up and forgot about Greg Biffle. This one was a typo. Let's call it a typo.
Well, but yeah, no, Jim, 25 wins though. I mean, no championship, but I mean, then again, though, he did race in, the early days of NASCAR. So, just getting wins and stuff, that felt like that was like, just as important as a championship.
But this is an impressive one. Unless Danny, you're going to say about 600 here.
Well, I was just going to say the reason I had him actually the highest of all of us, and the only reason I really think he ended up the highest for me is just kind of where he fell in line with the all-time wins list. But those the 600, the two 600s, yeah, it's definitely held into that, better quality there.
Well, and that 67 win in the 600 was the record all the way until Martin Truex Jr.'s domination in 2016. He led 335 laps. He led over 500 miles of that race. And the other thing that I noted about him that was amazing to me, he averaged 11th place at short tracks from 1949 to 1972.
Wow.
So a major short track ace in this one. But I almost feel like the chat should give us a drum roll here for the final pick we got tonight.
Oh, yeah. Y'all are going to recognize this name for sure.
Moving from 42nd to 41st. Now, 41st pick, I believe one of our few modern still driving driver picks for this list. Somebody who is a champion of this sport, somebody who is second generation, none other than Mr. Popular himself. 41st, we have Chase Elliott.
Totally deserves
Yes.
to be on this list.
And
All
I
right.
want
How
to
many in
make
the chat thought you were going towards like Dale Jr. and now are like, oh, okay.
I want to make it known though, because everyone calls me an Elliott hater. Of the four hosts, I have Elliott the highest of us in 41st.
That's shocking.
Chat
That is
has
shocking.
Chat has him 39th. I do kind of think there's a little skew there. But I think Chase Elliott easily is on this list, and I think maybe it's a hot take here, but I think 10 years from now he could be in the top 25 list of NASCAR drivers ever.
Oh, it
10
doesn't
years
sound
from
like
now?
doesn't sound like a hot take to me. I could totally
Yeah,
see that.
but knowing
Yeah,
me,
I think you. Yeah.
like
I mean, I think at this point, how many wins is he at? 18 career wins.
Yes.
They continue to add road courses to the schedule. That's always those are always tracks he's going to be favored at. Like I think right now, Chase Elliott, I think he's expected to eclipse his father's win total. How many did Bill end up with? 44-ish? Or how many wins did Bill Elliott end up with? It was somewhere in the 40s, I'm pretty sure.
I have the list
I think
on.
that's the bare minimum. I think at this point, Chase Elliott's got to look bigger. He's got to look at where Harvick's at in the 60 range. Busch is in the 60 range. Can he get to the 70s like Earnhardt? I don't know. 44 for Bill Elliott?
44.
Look at my memory. I sometimes actually do remember stats. I'm not, y'all aren't the only historians on this show. But no, Chase Elliott, like, I think he's easily already cracked the top 50. I think I had him surprisingly the lowest of the four of us at 45, but 18 wins in far fewer starts than many of the other drivers on this list. He's already a champion at, how old was he? 24, 25 when he won that championship. He's made it to 3 straight championship fours, if I'm not mistaken. He's cool under pressure. He's great at road courses. He's like, in many ways, he is the perfect modern NASCAR driver on the track, except for when he lost his cool at Charlotte a few weeks ago. Minus that, he is like the perfect modern NASCAR driver that any team owner would die to have.
Or when he was, I think about his team owner liked him at Bristol back in 2021 when he helped his other driver get a win.
Yeah.
But people are pointing out like, oh, you've got Chase Elliott here now, but where's Larson? Hey, you never know. We could say he's not going to be on this list.
Yeah, maybe he's on the list. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
You never know.
Just kidding. If he ain't on here now, I bet y'all at least know something.
Chase Elliott deserves to be, he's just under the top 40. I mean, he's in the top 50 and his career's clearly not over yet. So, I mean, he hasn't even made 200 starts yet, has he? So, so he still has a long way to go.
Well, I know when he's won 18 races between the 22nd race of 2018 and the 31st race of 2022, and 154 races is when in that span he got 18 of his wins. Now he's made
so he has over 200, I think.
He has.
And as people are pointing out here, Chase Elliott, another accolade, he rizzed up Livy from LSU.
And then deleted it. He tweeted a picture and then deleted it.
I just want to make it known as well, because I'm gonna lean into it. I'm the chief Chase Elliott hater. I'm the only one of us four who's not made some mean comment towards Elliott or joke at his expense, talking about how good he is. I'm sorry. I don't care what you have to say about his fans. I don't care what you have to say about his Mickey Championship. He at the moment is a top 5 driver. Yeah, he's going through a bit of a rough patch. Every driver does. But I mean, you look at what he's done so far in his career. Look at who he's beat. So 2020 champion, anyone can rip on that. But then 2022, he was the best driver in the field. He's finished 10th or better in points every season up until this one, and I still think he'll do that with a win this year. And for Rookie of the Year, he beat guys like Ryan Blaney and Chris Buescher. Yeah, Buescher was in the 34, I know, but still very good drivers. It's not been easy for him either. This has got to be so weird for the chat to hear me defending Elliott. But I think he fully deserves to be on this list. And I by the end of the year, he could be in the top 40 easy.
Yeah, I agree. So, that'll do it for this portion of the list. Yeah, that'll do it for this portion of the list. Next week, we got 40 through 36, correct?
And going through tonight, we had Jack Smith in 45th, Buddy Baker 44th, Jeff Burton 43rd, Jim Pascal 42nd, and Chase Elliott 41st. Yeah, we'll cover the rest of them next week. Maybe some of the people you thought were left off we'll cover next week. Who knows?
Yeah.
And thinking of ranking and stuff, I just want to give a quick update from the Twitter poll. We have 411 votes. 62% of people agree that Detroit-style pizza is better than Chicago-style pizza.
Twitter is a shithole, and it doesn't matter.
You got 411 votes.
Twitter's a shithole.
I told our chat to go there, so.
And we didn't have any viewership loss, so they obviously didn't.
Detroit style is good.
You can literally go to two websites at the same time.
I'm not a Detroit style hater. I'm shocked, honestly, that it lost to Chicago style deep dish. That is surprising to me.
And in a landslide at that.
Damn.
I don't know if I go landslide, but okay.
Twitter's a shithole that shouldn't be taken seriously. Anyway, you know what we should take seriously? Going to the race this weekend. We got the Chicago Street Course coming up. And pretty much everyone has either accepted it, taken it seriously, or bitched like a certain spotter. But going into this weekend, we have a lot of things to talk about. First off, 80% of attendees, from what NASCAR's data banks are saying, will be first-time attendees to a NASCAR race, which eclipses the Clash, so that's a good mark. Darian, I'm going to butcher this name, so you just say it anyway. Who's driving the 91 this weekend?
Oh, my God.
Shane
Van Ginsbergen.
Gisbergen.
Bisbergen. Okay,
Yes.
Okay. There we go.
I'll be honest, I just wanted to hear Darian try it.
Sorry, I was
buddy.
afraid to say that.
Just call him Van.
Yeah, I'm gonna call
They just call him SVG over there.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, that works.
Yeah, that works out.
Well, we got
sounds like a new Law and Order show. Law and Order SVG.
we got two races this weekend, Xfinity and Cup. The Xfinity race on Saturday will be the Loop 121, 55 laps with two 15-lap stages to start and a 25-lap one to end it. Starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on USA and MRN. It'll be 79, cloudy with some thunder showers, 80% chance of rain at the moment for this race.
Beautiful.
The Cup race will be the Grant Park 220, 100 laps, 20 laps stage 1, 25 laps stage 2, 55 laps to end her. Then we got 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's when we start up this race on NBC and MRN. Sunday's forecast is 76 with a bit of cloudiness, some thunderstorms earlier in the day. And AccuWeather actually is covering the weather of Chicago on their website for the race and says have a bit of rain gear ready for the race at a 44% chance of rain. There are no defending winners because this is a brand new weekend, but you might be able to bet on who the inaugural winner will be with Darian's betting odds.
Yes, the odds-on favorite is Chase Elliott at plus 500, followed by Tyler Reddick at plus 650, as well as Martin Truex Jr. At plus 750 is Kyle Larson. At plus 900 is Kyle Busch. The best of the rest, William Byron at plus 1,100, Ross Chastain plus 1,200, Daniel Suarez and Chris Buescher both plus 2,500, and Michael McDowell at plus 2,800. As for the underdogs, Denny Hamlin's plus 3,500, followed by SVG at plus 5,500. Brad Keselowski plus 6,500, followed by Bubba Wallace at plus 8,000, and Jenson Button, the former F1 champion, at plus 10,000. Now, going over the NWP Fantasy League standings, it's getting better. It's getting better and better. Sean 48 NY is still the points leader, followed by Trevor Sports 98. It was good seeing you at the race this past weekend. Polish victory lap in P3. In fourth is 48 Nation, and rounding out the top five is Danny B. Wife. And as for the second league, the NWP Fantasy League 2, we have running 2 leagues this year. The top 5 stands as follows. Race Roar 48 is the points leader, followed by JC underscore 43, 42 Larson 5 and P3. In fourth is Common Chase L. Yut. And then we have a tie. And a tie for fifth place, we have unofficial Illinois representative and Vroom HMS. Thank you guys so much for playing this year. And now to our points.
You annoy me with your pronunciation of Illinois.
What do I say? Illinois?
Yeah, you don't pronounce the S.
Yeah, I know. It's a mess.
Illinois.
Illinois.
So something else that annoys me is the fact that the chat is leading the pick points even more. They are currently with 233 points, minus 10 is Eric in second. Darian jumps up to the podium, minus 58. I am fourth, minus 59. And Danny is minus 60 in the basement. But really, we're just sort of all like in a line at the front of the basement. And then it's just sort of like one of us is on each step. But going into that, with that knowledge that we have going into the weekend, I should say, let's get these picks underway. The Xfinity race. Eric, who you got?
Well, Custer.
Damn, that was quick.
All right, Darren, who you got?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going next. Hold on, let me put him up. This guy, he made a fool of himself, but he's extremely talented. He's shown up on road courses before. I'm gonna go with Sheldon Creed here. I think he'll get the W.
I go Creed with redemption as well.
Cole Custer.
And we've been pretty quick here looking at the chat.
Yeah,
Chat's not even
time to catch up.
We didn't even give him time to catch up.
Oh yeah, that's right. Brent Sherman's back. Oh my gosh, that's right. That's a name I haven't seen in a while. It's been a minute. And Justin Marks as well.
10. Wait, isn't Justin Marks in the 10?
I believe he is. Let me check. Again.
Yes.
Well, earlier on the NASCAR app, it was still showing TBA, but I'm pretty sure that's who was supposed to be in it.
If it rains, Justin Marks wins this race.
Wow,
he's winning by a landslide in the chat. I guess
Yeah,
give him
give him
Justin
that.
Marks.
Yeah,
They're betting on rain, I think. That's
All right. Well, who's
They're
gonna
hoping-
suck?
They're hoping that Ross gives him a talk this time.
What track was it a few years ago where Justin
Mid
was
Ohio.
it Mid-Ohio?
Yeah.
It was actually unfair. I thought he was going to lap the field on a road course.
Well, speaking of who's going to be doing what on the road courses, we do have who's going to suck on this Chicago street course for the Cup Series.
Brad Keselowski.
This team's in a bit of a slump. I know they just got a top 10, but I don't know. I just don't feel right about him right now. I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez.
I'm going to go really, really, really safe on this one, and then I'll probably be proven wrong since I said that. Austin Dillon. I'm going to go Dillon doing pretty bad in this.
My boy, Alex Bowman, he gonna suck.
And the chat's having him roll in right now. I'm not counting Eric Almirola. Sorry. I don't care what you guys say.
Legacy. I see a few Bubbas, but not a whole
I'm
lot.
seeing a lot. I'm seeing more.
Well,
Bubbas.
now I'm
Yeah,
seeing them. Now we're seeing them.
And man, in McDonald's territory and everything.
in
Yeah.
Jordan territory.
And Jordan, oh, that's good. Oh man.
Yeah,
that's
at least you
awful.
got Reddick there though. Just clean up the mess.
Well, who's going to be the dark horse pick? We got Bubba as the chat's suck pick. Eric, who's your dark horse for this weekend?
Chris Buescher. I don't want to give any additional insight because I don't want to help the chat. I don't want to accidentally give them any ideas.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ty Gibbs, just 10 points below the cut line, and I feel like everyone's even entering the street course because nobody's ever been here before, so yeah, he has a shot.
I like how Eric doesn't want to help him for a pick that does nothing for points.
Well,
Don't help them in any way. But I'm actually going to agree with Eric here. I'm going Christopher Buescher.
For the card, it is Jensen Button.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was he the best finishing kind of one-off guy at Coda? I think he ended up
He was one of the. I mean, he got a top 20.
I think he ended up like 17th or 18th, and I know Jordan Taylor got beat up, and I know Kimi Räikkönen, I think, got beat up.
Yeah.
So I think he was the best finisher.
I'm looking right now, and there's a couple. There's 91s, there's 34s, but I saw a lot of McDowell's starting out. Let's just go with McDowell. We'll have him have the 91 as an option for our next picks.
Ah, yes, that's right. For the main event, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win on the streets of
I think
Chicago?
we gave him that one too early because now the 91 is taking over.
It doesn't matter in the end.
Eric?
Chase Elliott.
That's an easy one. See, I was gonna go with one of the usual suspects, but I've been saying I feel like there's gonna be a wild card race to some extent. So you're gonna have some, fellow road course ringers, might come into play. But I've been very high on this driver and team all season. I think Michael McDowell gets the W.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna go Chase Elliott as well. I was close with the 45, but I'm gonna go on the 9 on this one. I think that there's that little bit of momentum starting to build.
Tyler Reddick.
And looking at the chat, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I think they're going to follow Eric on this one.
Well, we might have to put in effect in the second half of the season what we did last year, having the chat Eric pick after the chat. But we'll give him Elliott this week because they did pick a different Xfinity winner.
Yeah. Well, all right.
All right.
So let's go with the 9.
Well, that leaves us with the final super chat stage break of the night. So someone said Ross Chastain is leading the pace car charge, by the way, for his pick.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of super chats rolling in for us to go through here. So let's start off with GN NASCAR Fan 24 for the 5. If you want safer barriers everywhere, say goodbye to the Brickyard 400. They're not going to narrow the racing groove for their moneymaker Indy 500. You know they can be removed if that's the case, though.
Yeah.
Isaac for 2. Favorite chicken restaurant in Chicago with a wing.
Okay, here we go.
Chicken.
I actually have a pick for this. I went to a place called Nando's when I was last in Chicago. I think it's from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just chicken, but that was one of the main things on their menu. And it was really good. I forget what kind of sauce. Is it like called, I think it's called peri peri sauce. They do like it's very good. I'll probably stop by again. I think it's in the neighborhood.
Nice. Looking to Beast of Metal 1989 left 2. Both of them 10, and they kind of feed off each other. I'm going to be that one guy who says NBC isn't much better than Fox. More in depth, more enthusiastic, sure, but the way the commentators talk over each other is a major problem, not minor. Also, the commentary has a tendency to over-focus on the front runners, even if the front is boring, especially in playoff time. And the decision to start the broadcast at Invocation this year, not a one-off per Pocris, was very bad. I don't know. I still, the Invocation thing, there hasn't really been anything other than maybe 1 or 2 tweets here or there saying that it would be a permanent thing. So I'm going to wait till we see if it's a permanent thing. If it's this week with there's no weather or anything and they do it, then we can talk about not showing that and showing that or whatever. But they've earned the benefit of the doubt compared to Fox, in my opinion, still. GN NASCAR Fan for 5 says, the Indy Star said in February of 2015 that adding safer barriers to IMS's front stretch would reduce the racing room by 15%. Again, can't you just take those out if you want them for the Indy 500? I mean, we've seen them. I've seen them at other tracks be taken out. Yeah. If that's what you want to do.
I don't know the science behind it. I'm sure it's possible, but I have no idea.
Hunter Nixon Fishing for 5 says Harvick will be permanently confined to his couch and wheelchair. His back is so worn out.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Joseph, thank you for the 2 Nashville doubleheader weekend. I think that'd be a little difficult, but NASCAR will try.
Yeah.
NASCAR has tried some crazy stuff and made them work before.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say maybe, hey, teams want to stay in Nashville and party it up, so let's do one track and another track next weekend.
Old.
Yeah.
Mafire 924 for 2. NASCAR only needs to have road course, short tracks, and super speedways. That's a bold take.
Damn. Very bold.
People.
By Charlotte, no more Coke 600.
Bye.
Ooh,
No more Darlington.
Ooh.
No more Michigan.
Don't even talk like this. Okay, maybe some people wouldn't want Michigan, but
Does
still.
Atlanta, can it stay? Because it's a mile and a half, but it technically races like a super speedway.
Yeah, okay, we can include that one in it. Yeah, fine. People. That's the name of this one. People for 2. Rather go to Nashville twice. Bristol too small.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bristol too small? Like,
Well, they're talking about the actual area.
Yeah.
oh, like the town? Sure.
Because
I get
really,
that.
there's nothing to do.
There is nothing.
I was
There
like, this
is
place is literally called the last great Coliseum. I mean, yeah, it's a short track, but it's huge.
Like literally, Bristol is only big on race weekends.
Yeah, that's true.
NASCAR Bluey Taco Box 924 for 5. One thing I like about Tennessee is the Titans, King Henry, which I think NASCAR should race a road course through the stadium whenever they rebuild it. I don't think they're building that with NASCAR in mind.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, really, once they start that, kiss IndyCar goodbye.
Yeah.
Super Speedway.
They're building that to eventually host the Super Bowl, basically. That's why they're doing that.
Doronium for 5. The Verizon 200 will be my girlfriend and I's first NASCAR race. Can't wait.
Fun.
Have a good time.
Here's
Yeah,
my
have fun.
money for great content. Keep it up. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
M. Martin fan for life. Thank you for the 5. NASCAR needs to limit most tracks to 1 event each and expand to more tracks like the Fairgrounds, Chicagoland. You've already won me over there. And a race in Canada.
Yeah, Montreal.
Napa Racing Fan 927 for 2. Swap 1 Richmond and Phoenix State for Iowa and Milwaukee. And he leaves as a
Wow.
question.
Mm.
Does NASCAR own Iowa? I think they do. ISC, is that an Iowa owned by ISC?
I don't know if it's an ISC track. I'm not sure.
I don't think Milwaukee is. That's just the tough thing is NASCAR, the tracks they own, they don't want to give those dates up. Like that's why people say Vegas or Charlotte for the finale.
No.
NASCAR and ISC own that date. They're not going to go to an SMI track almost for sure.
Just a rowdy dude from South Carolina for 5 says consecutive sellout streak. Darlington, check. North Wilkesboro, check. 600, check. Gateway, check. Sonoma, check. Nashville, check. Chicago Street, check. NASCAR has a lot of momentum going.
They do.
I agree, but also Darlington and Sonoma did not sell out.
So yeah, no,
there's no chance.
But they do have momentum going.
But they do. They have had a good number of sellouts both last year and so far this year. So that has been great.
Alex Luff, thank you for the 20. Fun fact, according to Slap Shoes, the last new short track in the Cup Series is a home track of mine, Albany Saratoga Speedway. Don't think NASCAR should come back, though. Albany's baseball country, and it'll flop like a fish.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that was back, I believe, in the 70s,
Yeah,
I want to say.
Sound like one of those old tracks, really old tracks.
Austin Blansett, thank you for the 5. Hey, guys, love y'all. Hendrick Motorsports is the mecca of NASCAR teams. Who in the Cup Series is the next driver to come to Hendrick Motorsports? It might be
I don't know. They're set for a while, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's going to be a while.
I forget who has the first. I think is Chase Elliott the first contract to expire at this rate. I think his deal is through 25 or 26, or maybe that's Larson. It's at least they're set for at least 2 or 3 more years. So
I thought Bowman still the shortest one. Maybe I'm wrong.
I thought they
Maybe
extended him though.
They did.
Yeah,
maybe it wasn't
I didn't
for
think
as
it was
much.
that big of an extension. It's like maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, maybe you're right. It might be Bowman.
Still, I still think that their lineup is set.
It's a while.
What's coming in the pipeline isn't enough for me to think that any of them's got to go anytime soon.
Nah.
Let's see. NASCAR Bluey Taco Box 924 with another 2. 3 wins in a row for Chevy at Nashville for Cup. Antar Das, I'm going to say this isn't me saying it, but Antar Das saying F the pre-race invocation anthem, then race. I think he meant no pre-race, but I think we agreed we want some pre-race. Just a matter of how we want it where.
Just start the actual race closer to the advertised start time.
Austin also for 5 says the NFL doesn't have the Fox pregame show for 1 hour and then throw you into a game like Vikings Colts, then do 30 something of pregame coverage. Or I think probably meant postgame. No, I mean
Maybe they're saying like NFL, like I watch the Texans on CBS and they'll have NFL Today on until noon, and then right at like 12:01 is kickoff.
I think that I will say I will admit a bit of a straw man with the NFL on my side is that they are covering between 20 and 32 teams a week, depending. So that I guess that is a little different. They're covering multiple events, but yeah, I guess that's something. Fred Dog 81 for 2, multiple 2s, but same super chat. Final verdict on Suarez Briscoe. Who's more at fault? I mean, I'd personally say just Briscoe speeding up top like that, but I think it was just an accident.
It was just an accident. I mean,
it didn't affect anything. It was after the race. I really don't. I haven't even looked at it enough to know who did what wrong.
Yeah.
One ASA dad for 2 says Busch, love him or hate him, he's a true talent. Yeah.
That is very true.
I agree.
Ross Chastain had to clarify to us for 2, saying, no, I'm a fan. I just lean into the memes.
That's good. I respect that.
Respect.
Rocks Racing reviews and reactions for 2 did say AH22. Agree with Eric. We like pre-races classic. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't think we said to scrap pre-race. I think we were just disagreeing on how pre-race is. Fred Dog 81 for 5. Allmendinger had a good race at Nashville. To see, let's see. Do you see it as a possibility of him being a turning point of his season? Is he still a favorite for road course wins like this weekend?
He definitely is still a favorite. He was like 6th, I think, at Sonoma. I was trying to look up his recent results. I do feel like they've been better. I mean, Justin Haley qualified 3rd, so that tells me maybe Colleague found a little something.
Yeah, they're improving a little bit, but I mean,
Allmendinger, his last
favorite. Yeah.
Allmendinger was 14th in the 600, 14th at Gateway, 6th at Sonoma, 10th at Nashville. That's pretty solid month. Yeah, that's a good month right there.
Hollow for 2 says, I hope you enjoy your overpriced Busch Light. I mean, honestly, for NASCAR stuff and Chicago prices, the prices aren't that bad. I mean,
wait, did they announce how much a beer was going to cost?
Like $12, I think, which most NASCAR races, it's a little more, but if you've been to Chicago events, that's not bad.
That's like a normal, like you go to an MLB or NBA game or something. That seems pretty typical.
They're selling 6-packs. Like,
I don't really go out. I don't really go out and drink beer at sports games anyways. I just don't. It's like, because I know it's going to be really overpriced. I can make it 3 hours, and I'm too focused on the game. I don't go to a sporting event to get drunk. I'm focused on the game. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Rocks reviews and reactions, I should say, said for 2, if I can talk. Eric, cool. Is that an MTJ helmet?
Yes. Yeah, I got a Martin Truex Jr. Bass Pro Shops helmet. I forgot that I have a couple I could switch out. I usually have a Larson one up there because I think it looks best. The colors look best on this setup. But yeah, put Truex up there. He's been so good lately. Figured I'd show him some respect.
It sounds like these are just decoration pieces.
I mean, it basically is.
I can tell this one was sent in before my Little Caesars comment because it's nothing for 2. Said Jarrett probably prefers Little Caesars hot and ready. Nope.
It's $5.
We know Darian does. I mean,
it's $5.
If you're gonna go to Little Caesars, they at least have a Detroit style pizza you can enjoy.
Yeah, but you see, I have standards, Danny.
They had some sort of like crazy pepperoni thing with a bunch of extra cheese a few years ago. I went and bought a couple of those. I'm not gonna lie.
Crazy
era. Really quick. Creative name in the chat says, "I don't drink beer." Then again, I'm 17, so I had to point that out.
Right answer.
Yeah, right answer.
Just a rowdy dude from South Carolina left 2 more, 1 for 5, 1 for 2. Inexcusable for NBC not to simulcast on Peacock. U.S. Open Golf, French Open Tennis, and Tour de France are all both NBC USA and Peacock simultaneously. Use the word sorry. Haley Deegan is hella sorry. I guess
she's sorry. That's like a way of saying she's bad.
Performing sorry. Yes, for sure.
Sorry. What was the first point about?
NBC didn't simulcast when they could have.
Yeah, I am surprised. I'm a little surprised if they simulcast USA and Peacock because it feels like they want Like it feels like they'd want fans to buy one or the other or both. They don't want them to be able to just buy one. But yeah, anything that's on big NBC where you don't need to pay for cable to watch it, I think that should also be on Peacock. They did that for a lot of Cup races last year, and I assume they're not doing it this year. They're not going to put NBC races on Peacock.
I don't know. They're putting the Chicago one on Peacock.
Yeah.
I know they're doing like post race on Peacock. So I don't know. If it's on big NBC, you should just also stream it on Peacock. Like people are paying for Peacock. They're not necessarily paying for NBC. Like what's there to lose? I don't get it.
NASCAR Bluey also for 2 says, asked if anyone knows how the Clemson phone got on track. Yeah, it got left on the car by the crew chief.
Tim Veens is crew chief.
Napa Racing Fan 927 for 2. What happened to ARCA? How can NASCAR improve ARCA? I don't know. Anytime we talk about ARCA, we might as well stay away from ARCA.
ARCA is ARCA.
That's a big question.
Yeah. Frankie Muniz is going to save ARCA.
Don't put us on the spot like that, man. Come on.
I don't know that there's a lot NASCAR. I mean, I guess NASCAR does own ARCA now, but I don't know what they can do to. It's just you just got to drive the costs down. Like Cup teams can barely turn a profit. You wreck a couple $100,000 ARCA car. It's probably not cost quite that much. I don't know what they cost. You wreck an ARCA car, those teams aren't bringing in enough funding or merch sales to pay for it. Like you can't. It's just too expensive.
Just a rowdy dude from South Carolina. Might call you rowdy dude. Rowdy dude for 5 says. The Art of Pizza in Chicago is open until midnight on the weekends and make amazing Chicago deep dish, ribs, pasta, and chicken. Nice. And make their own sausage. Nice.
Sausage. All right. I think
is that sassy sausage?
No.
Either Rowdy
you gotta
Dude.
see the SNL skit.
Either Rowdy Dude or somebody else recommended Art of Pizza last stream as well. So I will at least Google it and check it out.
I'm going to try it.
Red Dog 81 opening Pandora's box for us. Any track, race, gimmick. What's your ideal July 4th event?
I really liked Road America. Just add a fireworks show to it. Like the lack of pyrotechnics was alarming. But other than that, I thought Road America was a really good July 4th setting. It's not too hot. Good American countryside out there. A lot of people show up. I think it just makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say Road America too with the fireworks show. It grew,
even though the ratings sucked. The ratings were terrible last year. But if people could just watched on TV, it'd be great because the attendance was awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just always prefer classic Daytona, but
same. Yeah, I'm a stickler.
But I like Daytona where it is now too. So I don't know.
I like it better at the 4th. I think it fits the Firecracker 400. Who's the Tom Brady and Peyton of NASCAR? I mean, if you're wanting just one person, I guess Larson. I think people overlook Logano.
No, I see it more as Jimmy Johnson is your Tom Brady, Peyton Manning is your Jeff Gordon. Won a lot, but still didn't get where Tom did.
I think. I think we're talking about just drivers now, though.
I thought it's talking all time, but
there is no Tom Brady now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no Tom Brady right now.
Like that was Jimmy Johnson. So I don't know. Yeah,
I guess
Larson,
the closest could be Kyle Busch, maybe.
Maybe.
But if we're talking top 2 guys that go against each other, I still say the top 2 guys in Cup right now are Larson, Logano. Like if you're talking overtime overall, I think Logano is vastly underrated. That's my thought. Blake for 5. Blaney's wreck was bad, but might get forgotten. What's your guys' worst wreck no one really remembers or knows about? Mine's Steve Grissom Atlanta crash.
Worst crash no one really remembers.
And there's gotta be a few. Damn, I'm drawing a blank right now.
It's so hard because for the past 20 or so years, every crash has been so documented.
Okay, I got a good one. Mark Martin's 2009 flip at Talladega because everyone always remembers the Ryan Newman one from that race.
I guess I can say Mark Martin as well, but in 2006 in the Bank of America 400, I mean, like the angle he hit at, that was pretty rough. Pretty rough.
Believe it was 06, Casey Kane head on in the wall at Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's another one too. That was pretty bad.
one that we never saw but can never forget is Elliott Sadler's Pocono crash in 2010.
Oh, yes. That's one.
Man, we were so close. So close. Multiple times, multiple fan footage that got ruined. We were so close.
Yeah.
That always irks me.
I just remember Kenseth taking hard hits back to back at a West Coast swing in 2017 at Auto Club and then blew a tire at Phoenix. I remember those were two back to back, just really hard hits for a guy in his mid 40s.
Jam plays games for $1.99. Says hot take. I hated Buddy Baker's voice on TV. He was too nasally.
Oh wow. Well, hey, it's your opinion.
Well, I guess if you're talking about commentary, I guess nasally voice is not a help.
Ryan for 2 says, whose career would you rather have, Denny's or Truex's? I mean, Truex has the championship.
Truex easily.
Yeah, Truex.
I think I'd take Truex only a little. Well, the Denny has 3 Daytona 500s.
He also has a
More
lot of
wins.
choke jobs and heartbreaks more than
I
think
guess.
Truex does.
He's made more enemies with fans at least than Truex. I guess Truex has more goodwill with the fan base, so I guess I'd go Truex. Yeah.
Alessandro for 10 says, hey, Eric, good luck to you when you attend Chicago Street Race. And then cover yourself. Okay, yeah. Cover yourself in bubble wrap.
Okay. We don't need those kind of comments, guys. It's gonna be fine. Chill.
You're fine.
I think we found a Spotter's alt account.
Yeah,
I'll watch Fly Guy's video, right, Darian?
Yeah, Fly Guys
Fly
account.
Guys.
All right, we got moving to the next one.
Quit listening to the Spotter cry hour.
Moving to the next one. NASCAR Bluey for 5 says, will not be surprised if a lot of drivers cluster F it on the first restart, like Darian's top 20 finish in NR last night.
Oh yeah, I won't be surprised neither. That'd be funny.
Ross Chastain also offers condolences to Jimmy and his family. We offer them as well. There's not really much to talk about with it. Milton for 5. Let's see. Is NASCAR edgy for marketing crime like moonshine running? Chicago will love us if that's what you really want to market, I guess.
You want to market its history? I mean, if you want to market its history, sure, but I don't know.
That is kind of funny, though. Everyone in NASCAR is talking about the Chicago crime, but it's like if you look at NASCAR stuff, we market moonshine runners, fighting, cheating.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of funny if you look at it.
There's been a lot of stuff going on with that. NASCAR's not squeaky clean. Come on.
Now, Ryan says he likes Danny's idea of back-to-back Nashville NASCAR weekends, with the short track being first and the Superspeedway being second. The LA 400 was too good of a race to walk away from that track right now, in his opinion.
I agree. Yeah, the third race might have saved it. It might have saved the track in the fans' good graces.
I think overall everything was lifted: the racing, the presentation at the track for the fans, the start time. I think all of it was a lot better than last year and the year before.
Please, I'm just begging for all that is good. Never let me see Fox have to call a Nashville race.
Yeah, please no.
Well, Nap Racing 927 says for 10, all of Chase Elliott's Cup wins, and then lists all of Chase Elliott's Cup wins. I'd read them, but we've seen them all. Let's see. Hunter Nixon Fishing for 5. Y'all complain about Fox Sports. Some of y'all don't remember ESPN with Marty Reed. Oh, we remember.
I remember it. Yeah,
and I agree. Holy crap, it was annoying.
We just ain't talking about that right now.
Yeah.
Just a Rowdy Dude says for 2, most embarrassing crash, Kenseth in the water barrels.
Yeah, I remember seeing that live. Yeah, 04 Dover was crazy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jimmy, thank you for the 2. Jared, are you feeling better since Sunday night? Yes, a lot better. Snappy, 452 for 5. Most forgotten crashes, 1993 Die Hard 500. Jimmy Horton left the track. Stanley Smith basically died, and Neil Bonnet took out the front stretch Ketz fence.
Yeah, it was a crazy race. Yeah, Stanley Smith had a basilar skull fracture. It was crazy.
I think, yeah.
And then
I was gonna say, I think a lot of people remember that crash, or at least can kind of still loosely picture it.
I love Ross Chastain with the little edgy joke. Is it too far if I ask for Blaney to have the body armor car this weekend?
I see what you did there.
You know what? I'm fine making jokes, just as long as we don't like overshower it overboard. Like I think the jokes are right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If you live around Northern Illinois, like you have nicknames for every city. There's Rockganistan, there's Belvitucky, there's Chirac. I mean, we have them for all of them. But
Yeah. Again, if you're concerned with where you want to go in the city, if you'll be there, just watch Fly Guy's video. Just watch it.
I love that. I hope you like the free promotion. But really quick.
One more.
Garabuki for 1111 says, all ones, baby. Let's go for the melon. So glad to see my boy back winning in stylish fashion. Also, important question for the week. Favorite Nintendo game, gents?
Well, I've always been kind of a Sony guy, but
Super Smash Bros is Nintendo, right? That's Nintendo.
I guess I got to go Mario Kart.
I'll go Smash Bros.
Double Dash. That's a Mario Kart game.
Dale Dawson for 5, spreading misinformation that I'm going to order a Detroit style pizza. No, I'm not going to get any style pizza after this. I'm on a diet now. And
is it marathon season again?
Get back to me at the end of the summer, and we'll see where my progress is at.
Yeah, how you've progressed. I understand. I get it.
I might have had too much deep. This thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Danny. Tennessee does not have good pizza. It's so, like there's no Italian style to it down there. Like it's just.
I didn't say it was good here.
Yeah,
it's just. I'm just letting you know. Like
he's talking about Detroit.
There's not much I miss about Northern Illinois, but the pizza is something I miss.
Don't ask Tennessee about pizza. We know fried chicken.
Yeah, hot chicken.
If I had to pick a style, Detroit's my favorite.
Yeah, hot chicken's the shit down here, though.
That's something else. I'm fried chicken. I'm giving up to. You saw me. I ate grilled chicken at the track. I was a little flavor to it, but
Oh God.
Let's see. Snappy 452 for 2. When do we get the rest of the romance novel? You don't. I got to the end of stage 2. It's official.
He said, "You don't.
You don't.
You will get that the day he enjoys Detroit style pizza. It won't happen.
So you'll get it the day that I die, go to hell, and make it freeze over. But I think that covers it. I think it does. Next week, we are. Let me get this all together. I believe next week we are on Darian's channel, July 5th. So get your fireworks ready. Get all your fun ready. We're going to be on Darian's channel covering the Chicago street race. We're going to be going into the Atlanta weekend, and we'll be getting into our top 40 of our all-time 75 drivers.
Yeah, give me the good stuff for sure.
It's been a good stuff. Would say how we've been tonight with this episode. It's been a fun episode tonight, guys.
Yeah,
pretty chill.
Yeah, very chill for sure.
Thanks everyone for hanging out, tuning in.
Yeah. Well, I see his checkered flags and war being waged on me. I'll tell you what, you want that romance novel, you can find it for like $3 on Prime or whatever. So you can find it there or wherever it is on Amazon. But yeah, been a fun show. See y'all this weekend, post race, anything, whatever we all do, you'll see everything because we're going to be putting a lot of stuff. But guys, I say it's time for goodbye. Later, y'all.
Yeah. Goodbye.
That's the first one. I can go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the copy? Right foot down. We had to go flat. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy
And he spreads information that is false.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. It's your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Look great. Ridiculous.